Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, guys and gals. For some strange reason, MLB didn't start updating the scoreboard until the game had already started. And I thought maybe there was a problem with my connection. So I was trying to troubleshoot something that wasn't my mind to fix. But we are in the game now. And just to give you an update, as to what's going on, Cal Raleigh is at the plate with a 1-1 count. Rosarina is on first base. Third pitch is below the zone for ball two, 2-1 to Raleigh. Hey, George. Good afternoon to you. Next pitch is 95 miles an hour outside. Savage is pitching to Raleigh. I'm thinking that Rosarina actually got hit, fouled back by Raleigh, and that's a full count. I'm just guessing that that Rosarina was hit by pitch because I don't see a hit and I don't see a walk on the scoreboard. So I assume he was hit by pitch. Yes, it is. Okay, I now see it. HBP, hit by pitch. I was right. Below the zone, ball four. So Seattle has their very first two batters on, hit by pitch, followed by a full count walk to Cal Raleigh. And J Rod comes to the plate as Raleigh goes to first base. Kind of crazy. It's about 6 in the morning here. J Rod up to the plate with two runners on. Here comes the pitch. Right on that outside edge. 0-1. Here comes the next pitch. Right in there. Two splitters in a row. One on the lower outside corner and one right in there. Here comes the next pitch in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I appreciate everybody being here. I thought my script was running for the viewers, but now it is. Got half a dozen people here right now. Rodriguez hits that hard, and it's fair. It's a homer. 3-0 Mariners right off the bat. A hit by pitch, a walk, and then a 3-run homer by J Rod. He launched it. Trey Savage starts the game off for the Blue Jays, hitting a Rosarena, walking Cal Raleigh, and then giving up a homer to J Rod. That's crazy. Next batter is George Polanco. Polanco, the guy who won the game for the Mariners yesterday, takes that first pitch for strike one. Next pitch is right in there, strike two. What a day. Can you imagine being a Blue Jays fan at the game today? Right there in the first inning, it's already 3-0. Swing and a miss. 3-pitch strikeout. Man, the pitcher, Trey Savage, he looks like he's going to cry. He looks like he's on the verge of crying. There was a strike 3 thrown, but the umpire didn't call it. 85 miles an hour at the bottom of the zone. Josh Naylor swings and misses. So Savage is going to have to face at least 2 more batters. Josh Naylor here, and then Eugenio Suarez next. Fouls it off. Another strike. 5 straight strikes thrown by Savage. Two career home runs in the postseason for J-Rod. Here comes the pitch. High and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Naylor. Here comes the pitch. Fouls it off his foot. Count remains 1-2. Trainers are out checking with Naylor to make sure he's all right. Yeah, this is not Savage. This is no Savage. I'm just waiting on my hot water. It just finished at the end of this, the top of the first. I will go grab myself some hot water and make a cup of coffee. Naylor fouls that one off. Count remains 1-2. Here comes the pitch. He grounds that up the middle, and that's going to be another hit. Base hit to center field. Right past Savage, and between the shortstop and second baseman. Had to get on top of that. Just through. Clement couldn't get there. Eugenio Suarez comes to the plate. Savage right now could really use a double play. First pitch to Suarez on the way. 95 right in there. Strike 1. I think my views today will be even less if the Blue Jays don't come back. Check swing. They say he didn't go. 1 ball, 1 strike. 5 1/3 innings pitched the other day. He didn't give up a single hit. 89. Bottom of the zone. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count. I got half a dozen people listening in right now. Thanks for being here. Make sure you like the live stream. It'd be nice to beat yesterday's live stream. Swing and a miss on the high fastball, and he strikes out Suarez. No, it looks like pitchers can almost always depend on the Suarez strikeout. in this postseason. Almost always. 2 outs. Naylor on first base. Dominic Canzone at the plate. High and outside. 1-0. What a crazy start to the game. Hit by pitch, a walk, and then a 3-run homer. Here's the toss. Naylor's stealing. Here's the throw. It's not there in time. He comes off the base, but the glove's not on him, so he's safe in there. He had a really good jump, too. He didn't even have to slide. "30 steals and 32 attempts." That's in there for strike, too. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fisher is already warming up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Savage is trying to get out of the inning right here. He does. Swing and a miss. It's another strikeout. So Savage gets the strikeout. But that's the big hit right there by J-Rod. That's a guy you got to pitch to. He's just Coach standing here with his mouth open. Like he can't believe what he's witnessing. I can hardly believe it myself. That's the end of the top of the first. 2 hits for the Mariners. A hit by pitch, a walk, and it's 3-0. The Blue Jays will come up in the bottom of the first. Let's see if they can continue their streak of scoring in the first inning and get this game a little closer. George Springer will be up in just a moment, followed by Nathan Lucas and then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But I'm going to go in here and get my hot water right quick, make some coffee. I'll be right back. Thank you for listening in. Make sure to like that live stream. All right, we are back. Logan Gilbert is on the mound for the Mariners. He'll be facing George Springer, who had the Blue Jays' only run yesterday with a very first pitch homer. Here comes the next toss. Very first from Gilbert is a strike right in there. Slider. 0-1 to Springer. I was about to say 0-1 to Dinger. Here comes the next toss. That's 95 miles an hour, just above the zone. 1 ball, 1 strike to George Springer. Springer having a Very mediocre postseason so far, batting 190, 87 miles an hour, fouled off. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here comes the next toss. That's line drive ripped foul into the crowd on the left side. Man, that was it was all over that one. Just way too early. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Logan Gilbert's splitter having some good success. Let's see how the Jays handle it. High and outside. It counts even 2-2. Looks like we're up to about a dozen people. We've doubled our viewers. Thank you so much for being here. Yep, that's right, Jay. The no savage pitch was hit over the fence. That's hit really hard out to left field. It could be a homer. It's in the corner. Wow, just foul. Springer almost has another leadoff homer. He crushed that one to left field, and it was just foul. Wow, what a good hit. Look how close. It barely missed the foul pole by inches. That could have really helped the Blue Jays and the crowd. He hits that one hard. It might be gone. Left center field. It's off the wall. He's heading to second base with a stand-up double. Man, Springer was just destroying Gilbert. He line drove one into the stands in left field like a rocket. He hit a homer that was just inches foul, and then he hits this one off the wall in left center. That splitter is not working on George Springer, that's for sure. Here comes the pitch to Nathan Lucas. Lucas, the second batter in the lineup today. Now, the Blue Jays have actually started off pretty well. Start off with a leadoff double in the bottom of the second, or the bottom of the first, rather. So, they're not out of this yet. Lucas had a foul off the knee yesterday that hurt himself. This is a tapper to first. They're going to have a trouble throwing it to first, and they miss it, and Springer will score. Look at that. This game is already interesting. Did Lucas get over to second? Yes, he did. That was a tapper over to the first base side. Lucas was on his way to first. They had to lob that one over to Gilbert because he was covering first base, but the throw was behind him. It was a terrible pitch. Look at this. Naylor, look at Naylor throw it behind him. Crazy. And then Lucas was able to run over to second base. So we got another runner in scoring position with no outs. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the plate. And he throws his bat. Fouls it off. The crowd is really lively now. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. Howdy ho to you. He said, oh boy, that's the first play I see. It's been that kind of a game so far, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. The crowd is really cheering right now. They're chanting Vladdy, 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 Vladdy. 429 batting average this postseason with a 1.315 OPS. He's been having a really good postseason. Too far inside, almost got him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gilbert on the mound facing Guerrero. He steps off the rubber. He claims that it's difficult to hear the pitch comm. Here comes the toss. This is a chopper to short. Crawford actually makes a decent catch there. That was a hard catch on a difficult bounce. One down, but Lucas goes to third. There was a high risk of that one getting through. But he made the play. Runner on third with one out. Addison Barger comes to the plate. Mariners are going to have a little meeting on the mound. Raleigh heads out. The dumper heads to the mound. The big dumper heads to the big mound. And the crowd boos, of course. Ryan says sacrifice fly time. Single, sacrifice fly, homer. Any of those will work. Single, double, triple, homer. A hit would be the biggest help for the Blue Jays right now. Gilbert is up to 12 pitches. 9 of those were in the zone. Addison Barger is on right now with Alejandro Kirk due up next. It's grounded down the first base line. Foul. No balls, one strike. All right, my coffee is almost ready. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Fouls it off. 96-mile-per-hour fastball. Ouch, that's hot water. Way outside. Raleigh had to slide over there and grab that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mr. Barger. Next pitch. Low and outside again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ouch. Why do I keep dripping these? Just one little drip gets right on my leg. Swing and a miss. 79 miles an hour in the bottom of the zone. And that's a strikeout out number 2. That was a big disappointment there for the Blue Jays. But they got a guy on third. Are they gonna be able to bring him in or not? We'll see. Alejandro Kirk at the plate now. He hits it at the middle, and that's going to get down. That'll score the run. 3-2. Nathan Lucas scores from third base easily. Kirk is on with the very first pitch. His pitcher is in the dugout cheering. Yes, Savage is in the dugout clapping and cheering for his teammate. I bet so. He's got to feel a little bit of relief. They're kind of back in the game. Just 1 run down. Nice smooth swing by Captain Alejandro Kirk. Next batter is at the plate. Dardenville show he gives it a ride out to right field, but ride to Robles. That's out number 3. How about that, though? What an interesting first inning. 5 runs scored total. 2 hits for the Mariners, 2 hits for the Blue Jays, 3 runs to 2. The Mariners lead. Man, they scored more runs in the first inning than they scored all of yesterday's game. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, Jay. No lobster for Captain Kirk today. Captain's log, start 8. October 13th, 2025, and it looks like no lobsters on the menu for me today. I always think about Jim Carrey's impersonation of Captain Kirk. He was hilarious. Very exaggerated, but very funny. Ryan says seeing Springer hit the very first pitch out last night almost made me cry. Really? Why? Out of joy or sadness? Or out of laughter? Did you cry out of laughter? Hey, 21 people. We're slowly growing. We're finished with the first inning, headed to the top of the second, just waiting on these commercials to be finished. Well, Ryan Springer almost got himself another home run in the first inning today. I think that Springer's going to have a good day against this pitcher. He ripped 3 balls. The third one was the double off the wall. The second one was a home run, clearly a home run, but just a few inches foul. And then the first one was a massive line drive, a rocket to left field into the crowd. So he's getting his eyes and the bat on the ball with this pitcher. He's going to have to watch. He's going to have to watch Springer. If I can clear my throat, get my voice out right. It's about 6:30 in the morning here in Hiroshima. I hope you're all having a good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. Ye Old Savage is on the mound again. He's already at 33 pitches, so let's see if he's going to have himself a nicer inning. Robles is at the plate, takes that first pitch for strike one, 94 miles an hour. Here's a pitch. Low and outside. Check swing. They say didn't go 101. Yeah, but Jay, it might not matter what he throws to Springer. Springer is seeing his pitches. He ripped several of them. He didn't just hang one pitch. Springer took 3 of those pitches to task. It's not like Springer got lucky. You can't say that Springer got lucky there. He just hung a pitch and he got a homer. I don't think it's that simple. He ripped that ball 3 times off that pitcher. So I think that Springer's able to hit him pretty easily. This is right out into right field. Lucas almost misjudged it there, but he came in and got it. Little line drive, fly out. Wow. Single A, single A, single A, high A, double A, and then triple A, and then big season debut with the Blue Jays not too long ago. First pitch to Crawford is right in there. Crawford pretends like he's bunting. Well, yeah, I'll agree with that. He definitely needs to keep his pitches down, but I wouldn't say that I'm rooting for the Mariners. Neither one of these teams is my team, but if I had to pick one, I'm like most of the Astros fans right now. If I had to pick one, it'd be the Blue Jays because Springer's with the Blue Jays. 2 balls and 1 strike to Crawford. So as far as I'm concerned, he can put it right in the zone on Springer. It's fine. Fine by me. This is a fly ball to the infield. 2 different guys calling for it. Jimenez, Clement. Jimenez has to keep calling for it to get Clement to back off. Out number 2. Here comes the pitch. Low and outside. Top of the batting order is back up at the plate for the Mariners. Randy Arozarena. Raleigh's on deck, followed by J-Rod. J-Rod had the 3-run blast earlier. 95 right in the zone, fouled off. 101's the count. Our viewers got up to over 20 and dropped back down to like 12. Now we're at about 16. I appreciate you liking the live stream whenever you get the opportunity. Trey Savage on the mound with 2 outs in the top of the second facing a Arozarena. Here's the toss. That's high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ryan thinks we might see a 7-game series. Swing and a miss. Nice pitch on the slider. 89 miles an hour, and the count's 2-2. Ryan believes that Springer is saving his energy up. We'll see. Nice pitch. 89 mile per hour slider right in there, and he gets the strikeout. So good comeback inning. Got to feel a little good for Savage to come back and have a nice second inning. That's got to really hurt as a young pitcher. You come in, you have a rough first inning. There's a reliever warming up in the bullpen. You know that you're possibly 1 batter away from getting pulled in the very first inning. You're that close. And the coach is just waiting to see. And he's waiting to see if he's going to have to pull the trigger. You finally get out of the inning. And then in the second inning, you come out and get 3 up and 3 down. So good for him. Logan Gilbert will be back up on the mound in just a moment. He's up to 19 pitches, 14 in the zone. Ernie Clement is due up, followed by Davis Schneider and Andre Jimenez. I've been snacking on a Pop-Tart that one of my subscribers, Angel, sent to me. I didn't have time to toast this morning. But it still tastes good. What do you guys and gals think about the Brewers-Dodgers game today? I can't really put that into a poll because there'd be too many options. I'm only allowed 4 options in a poll. But I'm kind of wondering what you guys and gals think about that series. Who do you think is going to win, and how many games do you think it's going to go? Jay says, I don't think either of these pitchers are going to complete 5 innings. Well, I'll agree with you if Gilbert has to throw a decent amount of pitches in this inning. Right now he's at 19. 19 is a little high, but still manageable. If he has another 19 pitch inning, then I think I'll agree with you. But we'll see. Ryan says, hopefully Brewers can win 2 at home. It would be really nice. Would be really nice, Ryan. I'm all for the Brewers in this series. Can't stand the Dodgers, and I want to see the Brewers do well. 95 fouled off. You know, I don't know if some of you might not know this or not, but actually, even if you're an Astros fan, you might not know this. But several different Astros commentators, including, if I'm not mistaken, Roman Chandler, swinging a miss, low and outside, 0-2 to Clement. A lot of them were saying that they were convinced that the Brewers were not a good team at all, that they were just on a lucky streak, and they would show their true colors at any time. That's tapped into center field. Look at that. He got the splitter, I believe. Wow. That was a big drop, almost to the dirt. Clement went down and got it. Look at this. Yeah, he went way down. It looked like Altuve going down to get that and poke it out into center field. One runner on first base with no outs here in the bottom of the second. Davis Schneider at the plate. High. But anyway, whenever the Brewers started to get hot earlier in the season, they were just constantly getting a lot of grief from Astros commentators. And I thought, you guys don't know what in the world you're talking about, because what they were doing to me was not luck. Tapper to the right side. Naylor doesn't have a play at second, so he'll step on the bag for out number one. That advances the runner to second, and Andre Jimenez comes to the plate. But that's the thing. Yeah, Ryan's absolutely right. That's the thing. Jay says, I'm from LA, but I'm an Angels fan, so going for Brewers. Good for you. Good for you. Here's the pitch. Bounce foul down the first baseline. You guys got Kikuchi. Astros didn't retain him. I was really sad about that. Yusei was doing really well with the Astros. He only had one loss, and that wasn't his fault. He pitched really well. And then the Astros just gave up a ton of runs and lost the game right at the end of the season. But other than that, he was flawless with the Astros, and then they didn't sign him. I was sad about that. Grounder to Naylor. He flips to Gilbert. This time, he's able to throw it right to him. And they have a runner on third. And guess who comes to the plate? Springer Dinger. George Dinger. So Clement gets on base with a single, gets moved over on a fielder's choice, gets moved over again on a fielder's choice, and now he's on third with George Springer at the plate. Let's see if he's still got the Uchiha eyes. For those of you who know anime, you'll get that reference. If you don't watch, if you've never watched Naruto, you won't get that. Let's see if he uses the Sharingan to see the ball right here. Sharingan. Here comes the first pitch. Takes that one outside. The fastball, 96 miles an hour. By the way, Jay, what do you think of Otani leaving the Angels? Always wanted to ask some Angels fans about that. Do you wish that they could have kept him, or do you think it was best to get him out of there and look elsewhere? That's in there for strike one. 1-1 is the count. George says, go Brewers, no Dodgers, please. Absolutely, 100%. Ryan says these Brewers remind me of the 84 Tigers. No real MVP candidate, but incredible team and consistent. Yes, I believe so. Splitter in the dirt. Springer doesn't go after it. 2 balls and 1 strike. That's funny. ALDS game 4, ACLS game 1, and today, homer double, and run scored. 96 above the zone. Swing and a miss on the high fastball. He wasn't looking for that one. Maybe he's expecting another splitter. Just above the bat, a little too high. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a runner on third. He crushes that one to left field. Look at it again. He does it again, but it's just foul. Man. The commentators say too many of those pitches. If he throws too many of those, he's going to have a shorter outing. Yeah, Springer's all over those. He's going to have to work on that. Going to have to work on that pitch. You might give him another high fastball here. That's what I would do. Here's a pitch. 96 miles an hour. That should have been strike three. Low and outside in that corner. Doesn't get the call. But you know what? That happened earlier with the Mariners, and they wound up getting a 3-run homer. So the umpire giveth and the umpire taketh away. Look at that. A little low, but it looked pretty decent. Pretty decent. I guess you should have won more games, but our offense didn't support him at times. Yep. I feel like that's kind of the kind of pitcher he is. You know, he can keep you in the game. Generally, you know, fouled off, the count stays 3-2. Got about 22 people listening in right now, following along. Arigato gozaimasu. Nihon ni arigato gozaimasu. In Japan, thank you very much. Here comes the 2-2 pitch, or 3-2 rather. Ball 4, low and inside. He tried the slider on him right there. Just barely missed the mark. Too low and inside. Runners on the corners. It was close, but not close enough, says Mr. Umpire. Ball 4 to Springer on the full count pitch. So Springer's really just kind of having his way with Gilbert today. Hitting the ball and then taking a full count walk. Nathan Lucas is up. He had a single in the first inning. Here comes the first pitch from Gilbert. That's a strike on the outside edge. Nice slider. Definitely wish we would have kept Ohtani, but we weren't winning with him either. So, yeah, I felt like it was a difficult situation because you're paying a guy. If you're going to keep him, you're going to have to pay a lot. And he's a great player. But if you can't win with one guy who's making a ton of money, you might as well try to bring in a few other players, build out the team a little bit, you know. I was really upset to see him go to the Dodgers. Out of all the teams in the major leagues, he had to go to the Dodgers. Lucas hits it into center field. That's going to score a run. Springer goes all the way to third. Runners on the corners. And it's tied. This game is brand new, 3-3. The Blue Jays come back. They don't lie down. They come back. Lucas 2 for 2 today with an RBI. Clement finds his way home, and Springer strolls over to third base right in there. Yeah, Gilbert is he's leaving some stuff over the plate now, that's for sure. It looks like he's actually getting worse with those flat pitches. Now it's not just Springer, it's all the other Blue Jays. They're all starting to hit him. I wonder if they're going to have a meeting on the mound with him. Well, Raleigh does. Raleigh goes out and has a little chit-chat with him, but the pitching coach doesn't. And they've got a really dangerous situation because even though there are 2 outs, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the next batter. And this is not a guy to be toying around with. He could actually make this game 6-3 Blue Jays right now, very easily. This crowd is pumped up. Grounded out with a chopper in the first inning. Here comes the first pitch to Guerrero. Outside, ball 1. Yeah, Ohayo gozaimasu. You can just say Ohio, but if you just say Ohio, it's more casual. You say that to people you're more familiar with. But whenever you add gozaimasu onto a word, it makes it more polite. Here comes the second pitch. Low and inside. Throws it too far outside. Throws it too far inside. He might be pitching around Guerrero here. He hasn't really had a hard time with throwing many balls out of the zone. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. That's too far inside again on the slider. 3 straight pitches, nowhere near the zone. I have a feeling that he's scared to pitch to Guerrero right now. Let's see if he throws it right down the middle. Here comes the toss. On the inside edge, Guerrero was walking towards first like it was a ball. It was close. But he gets the call, 3-1. You can also use that word gozaimasu. You can use it with other expressions. Like if you say omedeto basically means congrats. But if you say omedeto gozaimasu, it's more formal and more polite. Crowd boos as Gilbert steps off the rubber. This is the situation, guys and gals. This game is tied up in the bottom of the second with 2 outs. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in the box with the runners on the corners with the 3-1 count. Swing and a miss, 95 up and in, and now we have a full count. Ryan says, "Do it to him, Vladdy." I want to hear an Irishman say that. "Do it to him, Vladdy. Vladdy. Do it to him, Vladdy." Maybe that's more Scottish. But either or would be funny. Really strong Irish or Scottish accent saying, "Do it to him, Vladdy." Fouled back, 89-mile-per-hour splitter in the low part of the zone. Can you guys imagine having Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and Yordan Alvarez as your first 4 hitters? Can you imagine that? How crazy would that be? Lucas was on the move on that pitch. Addison Barger on deck. Wondering if he's going to get an opportunity to come to the plate. Full count. Yes, sir. May I have another? Here comes the pitch to Guerrero. 96 up and in. Sends that one on a line drive out into the crowd. We're going to have yet another. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Well, Gilbert is now up to 46 pitches with this next delivery. So he has surpassed the first inning. Here's the next toss. That's bounced up the middle and right to Polanco. He takes his time and throws over to first base to get the out. Another ground out. So Gilbert gives up another run. But he gets lucky there. That could have been way out of hand. They could have lost control of the game right there with Guerrero at the plate. But the Blue Jays have come back and tied it up. 3 more hits for the Blue Jays in that inning. 1 run, 1 error for the Mariners. It's 3-3. This game is all tied. We have reset it. The Blue Jays, after starting off the first inning, the top of the first, 1-0. They jump right back in it. Wow. What a game so far. 35 viewers. We are on commercial break right now. We're finished with 2 innings of baseball. Thank you for being here today. It is now Tuesday in Japan. I am live streaming from Hiroshima, Japan, and I appreciate you being here. Most people are just calling me Go because of my channel name. That's fine. You can just call me Go. And during the regular season, I started this channel actually in the middle of summer last year. I was attending a Japanese language school. I have been, unfortunately, fighting cancer now for about 3.5 years, just kind of lingering on and on and on. And I have my ups and downs, but due to my health condition and a few other factors, I find myself living here out in the middle of the countryside by myself. I do have a good friend from Australia visiting right now. He's in the other room there. I closed my door because I didn't want to wake him up if he's still sleeping. But since it's almost 7 in the morning now. This live stream started just after 6 in the morning. But I started doing this live stream channel for the Astros, just focused on the Astros in the middle of the summer last year. I got up to about 380 subscribers. And then this year, just doing the Astros, I got up to over 1,000. Maybe I was at about 1,200, 1,250 subscribers by the end of the season, which was awesome. And then the Astros did not make it into the playoffs, unfortunately, for us Astros fans anyway. And I realized as the end of the season approached that between the end of the year, the end of the baseball season, and the beginning of the next season, 2026, I didn't have anything consistently to post just for doing the Astros. So I decided to make the switch to Houston sports. This is hit out into right field. Cal Raleigh hits a towering shot, which Nathan Lucas puts away no problem. One pitch for you, Savage. That's a good start for him. But I started doing the Houston Texans games each week, and I'll be doing the Houston Rockets games. I have no idea how I'm going to do the Rockets. There's so much going on in a basketball game. It's ridiculous. Here comes the first pitch. Let me back up there. First pitch to Rodriguez. Whenever Gilbert throws the ball, it looks like he's really kind of freaking out. The face that he makes when he's throwing the ball is hilarious. 2-0 is the count to J-Rod. Rodriguez had the 3-run homer in the first inning. 1 for 1 today. Biggest hit of the day so far. Here's the toss. 88 outside. 3 straight balls to Rodriguez. Savage is talking to himself on the mound. He's like, that's not the kind of pitch you need to throw. Here's the pitch. That's high, ball 4. 4-pitch walk to Rodriguez, so Savage doesn't seem to want to throw it around the zone. And that'll bring up Jorge Polanco. This has been a dangerous man in the postseason. His overall stats for the postseason are not amazing, but he has come through in the key moments. Clement makes a good play at second to snatch that one. That ball going through the right side. They get J-Rod at second, but Polanco's going to be safe at first. No throw over there. Lead runner goes down. He bobbled it just a little bit when he picked it up. You can see that came up in his glove, and he had to bobble it a little bit. One down, and now 2 down. Cal Raleigh flies out, and with that ground ball, that's out number 2. Naylor at the plate fouls off the first pitch, the splitter. Ryan says if it's an inside splitter or inside slider right now, it's 500 feet. Probably so. Here comes the 0-1 pitch to Naylor. He hits that one pretty hard into center field, and it's going to drop. That one kind of died. I thought that was going to go much further than when it did. But there was a soft line drive. A little tricky on the camera there. Nice swing, but it hit the end of the bat, so I guess that's why. Yeah, he didn't hit it on the fat part of the bat. So Naylor gets a single into center field. They were playing kind of deep on him. Varsho was not able to get there in time, so the Mariners have runners on the corners now with 2 outs. And Eugenio Suarez at the plate. Here comes the first pitch. That's hit hard into left field, left center. Varsho misplayed it, and then he comes back in and dives forward to get it. Wow. So Varsho makes himself, he forces himself to have to make a good catch. Look at that. The catch was great. But as soon as the ball was hit, he started to run back a little bit and then had to suddenly run forward, change directions, made the diving catch for out number 3. So Yasavage gets out of a little jam there. Varsho almost cost them some runs, possibly even 2 if he had missed that one. But they get out of it. One more hit for the Mariners, but no runs. It's 3-3 going into the bottom of the 3rd. Addison Barger due up in just a moment, followed by Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho. Ryan says, I've been trying to get into hockey the last few years, but the puck is moving too fast to see. Maybe they should make the puck twice as big. That'd be funny. Or make it wider. Can you imagine how crazy that would make the game? Jay says, way to make it look hard, Varsho. That's exactly right. You said it, Jay. Varsho's like, I'm gonna try to make myself look good by diving for it. I'm gonna make it look like it was a difficult read. 30, 34, 34 viewers right now. Thank you so much. How many likes do we have? I don't have my likes counter on the screen. Just subscribers and views. I'm trying to get to 1330 right now on the subscribers. 18 likes. If you have not liked the live stream, I'd appreciate you doing that right now. We're only sitting at about 50% on the likes. I try to keep it at least 75% of the current viewers. So I'd appreciate you putting a like on the video, on the ye old live stream. We got a commercial going right now, just waiting for the start of the bottom of the 3rd. The bottom of the thoid. I know that I have some people in the chat who are not Astros fans, which is all fine, but it gives me an opportunity to ask some questions that I can get some different answers to. Who's your favorite all-time baseball player? Jay, Ryan, George, some of you that are able to type in the chat. You have a moment. Tell me who your favorite all-time baseball player is. Here's the pitch to Barger. Way high. Wow, that one was substantially out of the zone. 94 miles an hour. 1-0. Oh, Ryan's a Berkman guy. Great player. Here's the pitch. 95. Fouled off. 1-1 is the count. When I was growing up, my favorite player was Glenn Davis, the big bopper with the Astros. For a while after that, I didn't really have a favorite player, but I liked David Justice. Here's a pitch. Outside. Whenever the Braves were in their kind of heyday, I liked several of their players. But, of course, Biggio was awesome too. Berkman was awesome. 84 miles an hour, up and out, fouls it off. The count's 2-2. Hank Aaron, come on, George. Did you actually watch Hank Aaron play? I have a feeling no. If you didn't watch him play, to me, the Braves were kind of like the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan, you know. It was difficult not to like them. It was just a likable team, you know. And I really liked David Justice. I thought he was a really awesome player. Just looked cool, great bat. But then Altuve not only became my favorite player of all time, or rather, he not only became my favorite player in modern times, but he's my all-time favorite player. I don't think I'm ever going to like a player as much as I like Altuve. On and off the field, he's just a great guy. 2-2. Here's the pitch. That's bounced down the infield to the second baseman. Polanco fires it over to first base, and Barger goes down. Alejandro Kirk comes to the plate next. Alejandro Kirk, he had a hit in the last at bat. Very first pitch, last at bat, Kirk put it into right field. Got himself a little ribby. Here's the first pitch from Gilbert, his 52nd of the game. Kirk goes after that one and hits it on the right field. Almost drops in, but Robles is able to catch it. Look at that. Kirk, 2 swings and 2 solid contact hits. There's that catch. Varsho making it. They're like, good job, man. Way to make it difficult. Way to make it hard on yourself. Speaking of Varsho, he's at the plate right now with 2 outs and nobody on. Bottom of the third. Here comes a pitch from Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried. Oh my gosh, I haven't thought about that guy in a long time. One ball, no strikes to Varsho. Here comes the next toss. That is in the lower outside corner. Nice slider. Strike 1 and the count's even. Jay says favorites: Reggie Jackson, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., then Mike Trout. Really? Vladdy Sr. Outside and high, ball 2. 2-1 is the count to Varsho. I can see why you'd like Trout. I mean, Trout's a good player too, but I can see why you'd like him. George says, I love the Braves. The 82 Braves were tough to like. Ryan says, of the newer Astros, Bregman is still my favorite. Really? I did have a soft spot in my heart for Bregman for a long time because he was with the LSU team. Here's a 2-2 pitch. In the dirt. Full count. If Gilbert can get this out, this will be the first 3 up and 3 down inning he's had in this game. Let's see if he has enough sanitizer to get a clean inning. 2 outs, nobody on. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Varsho. Swing and a miss. Got him on a slider. Strike 3. How can you not hit that one? That was right in the zone. Varsho can't handle it. 3 up and 3 down for Gilbert. And we're done with 3 innings. So the Mariners get 3 in the first and nothing after that. The Blue Jays get 2 in the first, 1 in the second, and then nothing after that. So we are done with 3 innings of baseball. We go to the top of the 4th in just a moment after the commercial break. Savage up to 55 pitches now. He'll be facing Dominic Canzone, Victor Robles, and J.P. Crawford. George says Dale Murphy, Chris Chambliss. Okay. I didn't expect to hear some of these names. He says, I remember Big Dale Murphy when I was a kid. Big old Dale Murphy. We're getting close to 40 viewers. It'd be nice to have a few more. Some of the comments I get I just noticed I got a couple of comments on a couple of my short videos. Sometimes the comments that people leave are either completely useless or just silly. Just for example, I posted a short of George Springer's home run from yesterday. The main reason that I posted that is because it's George Springer and because he hit a home run on the very first pitch of the game for the Blue Jays, right? That's that's obvious. This is primarily a Houston channel, right? Primarily. And George Springer hitting a home run. I posted that and somebody comments and they lost. LOL. I'm aware of that. I did call the game. But that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is he hit a home run on the very first pitch. That's the point. And then my video, my short video of when Alvarez hurt his ankle sliding off the plate, somebody commented, "This one was a freak accident. You can kind of tell his foot sliding off the plate and digging into the dirt." Well, I think everybody knows that. So just kind of commenting the obvious. Sometimes the comments are pretty interesting on the videos. I just wonder why do people feel the need to explain something that seems obvious, you know? Obviously his foot slipped on the plate. I think 100% of everybody who watches that video can see that his foot slipped on the plate, right? That's fouled off into the left side. Nice smack by Canzone, but floats into the stands. 0-1 is the count to Canzone. Phil Necro. Ken Caminiti. Another guy who's freaking awesome. Ken Caminiti was a beast. That pitch is high. 1-1 is the count. Here comes the next toss. Grounded straight to the second baseman, Clement, who throws it over to Guerrero. And that's out number one. One down. Victor Robles comes to the plate next. Jeff Bagwell, yeah, of course, Jeff Bagwell. He was also awesome. Hey Cruz, good to see you, sir. Robles fouls the first pitch off, 87 slider up and in, and he fouls it off opposite field somehow. Goes off into the stands for strike one. Cruz says, "Hey there, been watching baseball since the early 80s. Hard to pin down a single player as a favorite." That's a pitch just below the zone. Another slider. 1-1 is the count. Cruz says, "However, I really loved watching Ryan, Biggio, Bagwell, and Altuve, of course." Gotcha. Yeah, Nolan Ryan, Craig Biggio, Jeff Bagwell, Jose Altuve, of course. Yeah. All Astros. All Astros all the time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Yeah, most all of my favorite players in MLB have been Astros. But like I said earlier, I did like Justice. He had a cool name too, you know. When you're a hitter and your name is Justice, Justice. It's kind of like Judge. Judge also has like the perfect name for a power hitter, right? Aaron Judge, Judge, Justice. What's with these judgment names, you know? Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off the plate. Another slider. Savage is now over 60 pitches. He's up to 63. 1 out, nobody on. Top of the fourth. Top of the fourth to ya. There we go with the Irish stuff again. Here's the toss to Robles. Fouls that one off too. Another slider. Count remains 2-2. Cruz says, "I'm also glad I got to watch a lot of the older players and as they were finishing their careers in the 80s, like Schmidt, Reggie, Rose, Carlton." Yeah. That's hit out into center field. Varsho's underneath that one. He makes that easy on himself. Varsho should have backed up. and then ran forward and dove and caught that one. Maybe rolled. Ham it up. Really ham it up. Make it look good. Make it look difficult. Just like Jay said earlier. 2 down. J.P. Crawford comes to the plate, the ninth batter in the lineup. First pitch is below the zone for a ball. Lots of sliders coming out of you, Savage, right now. Here comes the pitch. 83 outside. Here's a pitch. Little below the zone. 2 balls and 1 strike. That's right, Jay. Ah, the internet. Humanity's collective ignorance. Yeah, that's right. You have no idea some of the things I have to deal with. Let's hit out to right or left field rather. Schneider grabs it on the run. And that's a 1-2-3 inning for you, Savage. So after struggling, both pitchers have settled down and have managed to put up some better innings for their teams. Savage gets up into the mid 60s with his pitch count, and he manages to finish the 4th inning. His counterpart, Logan Gilbert, is up to 58 pitches. More than likely, he will surpass Savage's pitch count in this inning. We'll see if he gets through it and moves into the 5th. Ryan says, when I was a kid, always fun watching Vlad, Ichiro, Michael Bourne, Maddox. Yep. Pujols, Jimmy Rollins. Yep. My dad's favorites are Nolan Ryan, Jimmy Wynn, Springer Jr., Springer Jr., or J.R. Richard. Oh, J.R. Richard. I was like, Springer Jr.? Oh, yeah, J.R. Richard. Jay says, Strawberry and Bonds. Ah, yes. Some more vintage names, classic names. I saw a commercial. There's an MLB commercial where they have Darryl Strawberry opening some old Topps baseball cards. It's kind of funny. He opens the pack and he's looking at it and he's like, oh man, I used to play with this guy. Pretty funny. George says justice is served. 95 Braves. That's right. Justice is served. I went to university for a short time. And that's when the Braves were doing really well with Justice and all those guys. And there was a bar and grill not too far from the university. And I didn't really have any money. So I could go down to the grill and just buy some iced tea and sit there and sip on that tea and watch the game, watch some of those playoff games. If I'm not mistaken, that particular year, the Braves did not win. And they didn't really like me at the bar and grill because I would go down there and sit and I would never order any food, but I didn't have any money. I had a meal card that would allow me to eat on campus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I could eat every day, 3 meals a day for free. Well, not for free; it was already paid for. But I couldn't eat anywhere else. I could only eat on campus. So going to a bar and grill, not having any money, and I tried really hard to get a part-time job, but it was kind of crazy back then. Wow, that's hit into left field all the way into the corner, but foul. Ernie Clement at the plate. And check it out, Bazzardo is in the game now. Gilbert's out. So Jay, you're right. You're right about Gilbert. He didn't even get to take one pitch or give one pitch in the 5th. Here's the next pitch to Clement. Check swing, fouls it off. 0-2. Cruz says, when I was a kid, we had to Moved to Cincinnati because of my dad's job. I would watch a lot of Reds games when Rose was still playing. That was cool. Luckily, we moved back home after 3 months. That's pretty cool, though, being able to watch some Pete Rose games. Is they going to get him at first base? Wow, there was a tapper towards the pitcher. Raleigh looks like he hurt himself there. He might have pulled something. Raleigh ran out there to grab that ball. I wonder if he slipped. Yeah, he's in a little pain there. He might have slipped. What in the world? He made a good play to get Clement. Just barely got him at first base. But he was wincing in pain, not only when he got up, but yeah, I think he might have pulled something when he went. Yeah, when he went down to get that ball, I think he kind of pulled something in his leg. He looks disappointed. He doesn't look like he's in pain. He just looks disappointed. I'm disappointed with my body right now. That's what he's feeling. He's not feeling pain. He's feeling disappointment. He's not injured. It's just his pride that's injured. One down, nobody on. Schneider fouls it off on the right side. It might be playable though. Raleigh runs over there and it goes into right over the top of the dugout. Out number one. I mean, I'm sorry. Strike number one. One down, one out. Nobody on. Schneider at the plate. He looks fine there. No wincing. Yeah, I was thinking that he slipped on the grass, but it was difficult to tell if he slipped or if he just stepped awkwardly. One ball, one strike. Here comes a 1-1 pitch from Bizzardo. On that outside edge, strike two. Barely got that edge of the zone. Ryan says his grandma grew up in as a Cardinals fan because of the Houston Buffs. She went to a lot of games. George says 96, I believe they won. Early 90s Braves. 96 right in there. Strike three. Schneider gets called out. He has a little brief discussion with the umpire. Raleigh looks like he's still kind of uncomfortable. First pitch to Andre Jimenez is in there for a strike. A nice sinker. 37 people here. We're almost over 40. Maybe the peak today is about 40 at one time. Still very, very low compared to usual, but seemingly a little better than yesterday. Maybe because yesterday was a weekend. Don't know. Might be. One ball, one strike to Jimenez. Two outs. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Low. 2-1. I would remind all of you again to please like the live stream. It helps get more people in here, helps the channel to grow, and I appreciate it. This is an opposite field hit all the way out to just shy of the track. No problem for Rosarena. He's able to put it away. So 3 up and 3 down for Bizzardo. Clean inning for the Mariners. Little face plant there by Raleigh. But he seems to be moving okay now, so might not be an issue. Maybe just a little tweak. He gets a rest now. We're finished with the first 4 innings of this ball game. A lot of scoring early on. The Mariners jumped on it. The Blue Jays were quick to respond and tie it up, but after that, everybody just kind of shut down. It's kind of anticlimactic. It's like, oh man, this is going to be a busy game. And then it goes from being busy and exciting to being dead. Nothing going on. It's been quiet for a couple of innings. Third inning and fourth inning. 3 up and 3 down, 3 up and 3 down, 3 up and 3 down, 3 up and 3 down. Completely opposite of the first 2 innings. Now, Yasavage is up to 69 pitches. Let's see if he comes in the top of the 5th. All right, Jay, here we go. If Yasavage comes in, and if he makes it all the way through the 5th, then I think he will surprise us. His pitch count is not bad. You know, he can still do it with 69 pitches, right? Depends on his performance. Maybe he'll be on a short leash. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. When did I see them at university? It might have been, what, 96? Maybe it was 96. Because the year that I watched them, they got knocked out. I'm pretty sure that in 95, yeah, in 95, I didn't go to university in 95. I didn't go until 96. So it would have been 96 or 97, but I think it was 96, if I'm not mistaken. Ryan wants to know if I ever play baseball video games. I mean, I haven't in a long time. I used to play them all the time. And I can tell you my favorite one, Ryan. It was on the regular Nintendo, your original Nintendo. It was called Base Wars. Did you ever see or play Base Wars? Base Wars is freaking awesome. Your baseball players are all robots, and you can fight for the bases, and you can modify your robots. I loved that game so much. It was ahead of its time. Well, great play for a moment there by Jimenez. Ground ball by Rosarena to shortstop. Jimenez makes a great play to catch it. What in the world is Suarez doing? He's pretending like he's hurt. Nice scoop, terrible throw, but you can't blame him for trying. Then it hits over there by Suarez, and Suarez just lays down the ground like he got hurt. He's just playing around. Yes, RBI baseball was awesome too, George. They are discussing whether or not the runner should go to second. Yeah, he does. So that's going to be an error on the throw, and they send a Rosarena over to second base rather. Oh, now they're saying since the ball hit Suarez, they might saying that ball might have been in play. They might not give him second base. Look at this. So here's the throw. Look what happens on the throw. It goes by him. Suarez doesn't really make much of an effort to get out of the way. You see that? It hits him in the back. And he plays around. He rolls around on the ground and Crawford is waving him off with a towel like he's injured. They're really hamming it up. But now they're discussing with the umpires, because if the ball is in play from hitting Suarez, then that means the Rosarena can't have second base. So they're trying to work it out right now. Never seen that before. Ryan, it didn't go into the dugout. It hit Suarez. So they're discussing whether or not it's considered in play or not. Okay. So the Blue Jays are actually challenging the call that the ball was out of play. So Suarez might have cost his team a run. I mean, not a run, but an extra base. by not getting out of the way and letting it go into the dugout. It was called. It was called out of play. But Suarez was blocking the way, and he didn't make a big effort to get out of the way of the ball. So it got him in the back before it went into the dugout. So what they have to decide, what Verducci is saying is they have to decide whether the ball passed that top step or not. Never seen this before. They're going to have to do a review to see if the ball managed to get past that top step. If it didn't get past the top step of the dugout before it hit Suarez, then it's considered in place. Toronto loses the challenge. They're going to say that it was past the top step. How can it be past the top step if he's sitting on the top step and it hit him in the back? I'm a little confused about that. That was a quick review. Well, Rosarena will stay on second base. That's crazy. Well, to me, it didn't look like it. We're going to have to disagree on that one, Ryan, because they're going to walk Cal Raleigh on purpose. They're going to give him an intentional walk. They're going to put 2 runners on with no outs for just Savage. That's a strange move right there. And now they're going to come out to the mound. They're going to pull him out. Okay, yep. So Savage is not going to pitch to him. So they decide that's a strange order of events right there. J-Rod is at the plate. They're not going to let Savage pitch to him. They're going to go ahead and pull him out. They're going to intentionally walk Cal Raleigh and then bring in a new pitcher. So they got 2 runners on in the top of the 5th with J-Rod at the plate, who's already got a 3-run homer today, and they're bringing in a new pitcher. I'm not quite so sure I back this call. If it works out, then I will applaud the coach. But I'm not sold on it right now. But as far as that ball going into the dugout is concerned, Suarez was actually sitting on that top step, and the ball hit him in the back. So from my perspective, that ball did not go past the top step. It did not actually make it into the dugout before it hit Suarez. So I'm not quite sure why they didn't overturn that. But I guess it doesn't matter. It's kind of useless now that you think about it. Think about what the Blue Jays just did. If you really think about it, okay? Here's the fact. The runner gets on first base, right? The Blue Jays decide to challenge whether that ball went into the dugout or not in order to keep Rosarena from going to second base, right? But then Cal Raleigh is the next batter. And they intentionally walk him. And they lost their challenge. They lost their challenge. If you're going to walk Cal Raleigh, then why are you risking losing your challenge or something stupid like that? Do you guys see how stupid that was? That was a stupid decision. We don't want Rosarena to get second base with a ball out of play, with a ball thrown out of play. So we're going to challenge it. Then they lose their challenge. Even if they had gotten the challenge, they're still going to walk Cal Raleigh intentionally. And if they're going to walk Cal Raleigh, why would you risk wasting your challenge? Okay, good job. Good job, Toronto coach. Good job. 5 1/3 innings pitched by Savage. Lewis Varland is in the game now for the Blue Jays. Runners on first and second for J-Rod. He had that same situation earlier. Low and outside. 1-1. No outs. Hey JD, good to see you. I'm feeling all right this morning. How about you? 98. Up and in, swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes to J-Rod. Nobody out, but runners on first and second. That was a nice pitch there. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jay. It was an infield hit plus error plus throwing error. 99 up high. He doesn't chase that one. The count's 2-2. But by the way, me and my brother my brother was a year older than me, and we used to play RBI baseball nonstop. We tore up that game. We just couldn't stop playing it. 98 right in there, struck him out. So the pitching move is working out so far. Varland gets the strikeout against J-Rod. Polanco comes to the plate, a guy who has been very dangerous all postseason in important situations. We'll see what happens here. Cruz says, I used to play Reggie Jackson baseball in the Sega Master System. Wow. Of course, I love playing MLB The Show every now and then. I haven't played any games in a long time. Up and outside, ball 1 to Polanco. I actually have a Super Famicom in the other room with a tube television. I got a retro system, basically. A Super Famicom is a Super Nintendo. I've got a few games for it. Fouled off. All of the games I have are Japanese games. They're all in Japanese. I have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and I have a Final Fantasy game, and I have Mario Kart, all in Japanese. Here comes a 1-1 pitch. It's hit out to right center field. Varsho's back all the way to the wall. He makes... No, it's gone. That's a homer. I told you it was dangerous. Varland gives up a 3-run shot to Jorge Polanco. To Jorge Polanco. 6-3. The Mariners do it again. This time, it's a 400-foot shot by Polanco, 105 miles an hour. I'm telling you, man. You know what I said earlier? I'm not sold on it being a good idea that they change pitchers at that time, that they walk Raleigh and pitch to J-Rod and Polanco. Did I not say it? It's 6-3. The benefit is that there's nobody on base right now. Good strategy, coach. Good strategy, Varland. Give up a home run. Now that the bases are clear, you don't have to worry about any extra RBIs. Here's the next pitch to Naylor. It's in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out. 5 hits now for the Mariners, 5 for the Blue Jays, but it is 6-3 Mariners. Wow, indeed. Baseball mogul. Yeah, I don't know it. I stopped playing baseball games. Actually, I think after the Super Nintendo, I never played any baseball games after that. I stopped playing video games for a really long time. That's low. 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the toss to Naylor. He rips that one foul down the first baseline. It's 2-2. Ryan, they do get 2 challenges. But what I'm saying is it's completely useless to waste your challenge when you know that you're just going to walk. You're going to intentionally walk Raleigh and the next batter. You're going to send the batter, the base runner, to second base regardless. So why are you challenging the call? It's a boneheaded move. Well, if they weren't going to walk Raleigh, then it was worth the challenge. But since they were going to walk Raleigh, then it was a boneheaded move to challenge it. You're wasting a challenge. JD says, I'm doing great, brother. Thank you for asking. You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Polanco's on clutch pills. Yes, he is. That's what I've been saying. Polanco has been hitting in the right moments. Killing in the playoffs. Feels like Blue Jays are panicking. Well, I just feel like the managers making really dumb decisions right now. They challenge to try to keep him from getting second base, and then they intentionally walk Raleigh so the base runner gets second base anyway. I mean, what are you thinking? What are you really thinking? Swing and a miss. Naylor goes down, strike three, and that's out number two. And then after that, you go ahead and pull in another pitcher, and that pitcher gives up a 3-run homer, which never would have happened if you had just left your other pitcher in, or if you had brought the pitcher in to pitch to Raleigh. That's what I would have done. If I'm not confident about Savage pitching to Raleigh, then I go ahead and bring the pitcher in and let him pitch to Raleigh. If Raleigh hits a homer, it's a 2-run homer, and you're down by 2. But now they're down by 3. I just knew it wasn't a good decision. I could feel it in me bones. Suarez has 2 strikes very quickly there, 0-2. He's also 0 for 2 today. 1 strike away from getting out of the inning. Here's the pitch from Varland. 99 on the outside edge. That pitch was well outside. Suarez didn't like it. He has a right to be upset about that. That was about 2 inches outside the zone. But one swing from Jorge Polanco right over the wall. I didn't realize that was a homer at first because the center fielder was diving up on the wall for it. I thought maybe for a second he made a catch. But Polanco gives the Mariners a 3-run lead for the second time in the game. It is 6-3 going into the bottom of the 5th. The Blue Jays are back in a hole. Are they going to be able to win a single game at home? Is this series going to be like the Astros and the Rangers a couple of years ago? Nobody could win at home. Is it going to be like that? We'll see. George Springer is due up next, followed by Nathan Lucas and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Yes, that's right, Jay. Polanco had those lobsters for dinner. Polanco had a full boat, and he put on his bib, his lobster bib. He pulled out the butter, and he feasted. That's for sure. Cruz says, well, that's a wrap. Mariners up 2-0 in the series. Not necessarily, Cruz, because in the first inning, same thing happened. They had 2 runners on. J-Rod hit a homer. They were up 3-0. Blue Jays woke up, came right back, scored 2 runs, then scored 1 run in the next, tied it up. Since then, it's been quiet. They might answer again. So they're not out of it yet. We still got several more innings. I mean, 5 more innings. The Blue Jays still get to bat 5 more times. You know what I'm saying? So this game is definitely not over, especially since the Blue Jays are much better at scoring runs than the Astros are. So I'm expecting to see some more hits and some more runs, but we'll see. JD says, please hit the like button for my boy Go. Yes, please.
If you want to help me have a good Christmas, please hit that like button. If you don't hit the like button, what is Tiny Tim going to eat for Christmas dinner? Thank you.
Tiny Tim. It's Christmas in October. By the way, in the middle of last month, they had already started advertising, ordering Christmas chicken and Christmas cakes here in Japan. And now, starting about last week, the first week of October, they had these big displays with all of their Christmas foods and Christmas cakes and Christmas chicken pre-orders. People are already putting all that stuff up. You thought they were early in America. They're jumping all over it here in Japan. It's becoming just like the U.S., earlier and earlier every single year. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Springer. 95, up and out. 1 ball, 1 strike to Springer. Mariners pitching is strong. It's been okay, but not good. I mean, they've given up 3 runs in 4 innings. So that's not good. This is hit over the right side. Naylor throws it to Bizzardo, who covers to get the out. Good play by Naylor. Okay, they were just talking with the Blue Jays coach about that call where the ball went in the dugout. And it doesn't, he said that the referees told him it didn't have anything to do with the ball passing the top step. Their determination was if it was going to go in the dugout anyway, then they were going to make that call. That doesn't make any sense to me. Surely that can't be the rule. Because what if you don't know for sure? How can you know for sure that the ball is going to go in the dugout every single time? 95 in the upper outer corner to Nathan Lucas. There's that catch by Naylor. Good play by Naylor to get Springer. Here's the pitch. 95, too far inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Lucas with 1 out. Nobody on. Bottom of the 5th. So basically, that call that they made on that challenge about the ball going into the dugout, it had nothing to do with the ball passing that top step. That's hit into center field for a hit. Lucas is on again. Lucas has 3 hits and an RBI. He's having a good game. That's pretty crazy because earlier they were talking about the rules and they were saying they had to determine if it crossed that top step. But that's not what the umpires told the head coach of the Blue Jays. They said if they determined that the ball was going to go into the dugout anyway, then they were going to call it as an extra base for the base runner. I don't understand that call. How can you possibly know in every situation that the ball's definitely going to go in the dugout? I think that if an opposing player blocks it from going in the dugout, then their base runner should not get second base. It seems to be common sense to me, but then again, they don't always make common sense calls. Guerrero quickly gets into an 0-2 count with that foul ball. Lucas on first base with 1 out and 0-2 is the count. Bizzardo dealing for the Mariners to Guerrero Jr. Here's the pitch. 96 in there, fouled off again. A Dobby impersonation.
Dobby impersonation, master?
I don't know if I can do a good Dobby. I usually do a Smeagol impersonation. That's outside, 96 mile per hour stinker. Misses the mark, 1-2. Hey, Daryl, good to see you. I'm all right. How are you? Lucas on first base. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He chases that one outside. The slider. That was a nasty slider. He barely got a hold of it. Stays alive. Cruz says, I hear you and hope you're right. Just don't see it, though. Come on, man. You're too jaded by the Astros season, Cruz. I can understand the feeling, though. It feels like that, but I think the Blue Jays are more capable. They could score some more runs. Woo! Check swing. They say he didn't go. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That was close. JD says, hey, Go, I heard there's a run on gold and silver in Japan. You heard anything? Nope. I haven't heard anything about that. Okay, it was a good call. He didn't go. Bizzardo wanted it. Here comes the toss. That's a soft hit to the left side. Bizzardo barehands it and throws it to first for out number 2. Lucas goes to second base. So that's out number 2, but they have a runner in scoring position. He almost, when he barehanded it, right in the, that's kind of strange, right in the palm of his hand. The way he caught that was a little weird, but okay. Addison Barger at the plate. The first pitch is on the way. He takes a leg kick and a swing and fouls it off. I do know a lady here, JD. I know a lady here who is a big gold collector. Well, I say collector. She's an investor, but she's She collects gold because she believes that it will always have value, which of course she's right. One ball, one strike to Barger, but apparently her first marriage, she had saved a bunch of gold, and her husband convinced her to sell it and use it for something, and they they lost all of it. She says that he lost all of it, and after that, she had to start rebuilding her savings. So she's been buying gold like crazy. She works a ton of hours, a lot of overtime. She's a nurse. Many Japanese women are nurses in Japan. There's a large elderly population. So with that foul ball, Barger is down in the count, 1-2. 2 outs. Lucas on second base. Bizzardo up to 28 pitches. 28 in the, or 20 in the zone, rather. Can you imagine throwing 28 pitches all in the zone? That'd be nuts. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Whoa, almost got him inside with the 96-mile-per-hour sinker. 2-2. Daryl says, I'm not doing bad for Monday. Well, if it makes you feel better, you can think of it as Tuesday because it's Tuesday in Japan. So I'll give you the extra Tuesday feeling boost. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. He taps that one right back to Bizzardo, who lobs it over to first. Easy play. 4 up and 3 down. No problem in the bottom of the fifth, so the Blue Jays do not answer in the fifth inning. We're done with 5 innings of ball, and here's where it stands. 2 errors in this game, 1 for the Mariners and 1 for the Blue Jays. 5 hits for the Mariners, 6 for the Blue Jays. However, the Mariners have 6 runs, and the Blue Jays only have 3. It's a 3-run game right now, going into the top of the 6th. Lewis Varland might still be on the mound for the Blue Jays. He's up to 16 pitches with 11 of those in the zone. But anyway, JD, what I was saying is this lady, her name is Mia. Mia, she believes that the world economy is going to collapse, and she won't put her money into anything except for gold. She basically told me that she doesn't have any savings. She spends her money on 2 things: expenses and gold. That's it. So after she pays all of her bills, all of the money she has left, she buys gold. Every month she does that. You're right, Daryl. Blessed to have another day. You know, I used to say, if you're alive, you're doing well. But I changed that over time. If you're awake and not in pain, then it's okay. That's the way I feel. It's so ridiculous the amount of times I've had to deal with illnesses or damage to my body, hospitalizations. I was hospitalized as a child in Houston. I don't think I ever mentioned that in the live stream before, but when I was a little kid, maybe I was going to North Shore Elementary at the time. I was very little, and I just got really sick. The doctor at the local hospital couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, but I was going downhill fast, and my whole body was so sensitive that nobody could touch me. If you just touch me anywhere on my body, I would scream out in pain. Anywhere on my body. They had to take me to Texas Children's Hospital, and the specialists started treating me. They gave me a spinal tap and some scans like CAT scans or MRIs and all sorts of scans. That's in there for strike one. Mason Fluharty is on the mound now for the Blue Jays. Here's the toss. Fouled back. 0-2 is the count. Mitch Garver is batting for Canzone. Postseason, he's 1 for 5. Regular season batting 209. Not particularly spectacular. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Fouls it off the mask of the umpire. It was a nice little smack. But even the specialists couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I couldn't eat. Every time I would eat, I didn't have an appetite, and they tried to get me to eat, and I would just throw up. Here's the pitch. That's a fly to center field pretty deep. Varsho's back and to the wall. It's off the wall. Misplayed by Varsho. It might be a triple. It is. Look at that. Mitch Garver's all the way over to third due to a misplay off the wall by Varsho in center field. Pinch hit triple for Mitch Garver. Right off the top of the wall, almost a homer. I don't understand why Varsho was over to the left, though. If he had gone back to where the ball actually came down, he had a chance to catch that. But he was too far to the left. He just misplayed it. Difficult play, but Varsho has been making it not easy on himself this game at the same time. So you put those two together, and that's a recipe for a triple. 0-1 is the count to Victor Robles. Next pitch from Fluharty is on the way. Swing and a miss. 0-2. So he gets him down 0-2. What in the world is going on over there in the dugout? Those weirdos. No outs. Runner on third. 0-2 is the count to Robles. Here's the toss. High. Ball 1. Long story short, they didn't know what was wrong with me. I was losing weight, and they said I was going to die. I told my parents to get ready. And just suddenly I started getting my appetite back. That's a rip to third base, but Barger grabs it, holds the runner, fires the first, gets the out. Robles is down. 1 away. J.P. Crawford is due up next. I started eating again. I recovered my strength. I went back home, went back to school. So I got over it. That's what I'm hoping happens with this cancer situation. Hoping the same thing works out. So for the third time, basically, in my life, I've been told by the doctors I'm not going to make it. They're going to take Garver out and bring in a pinch runner at third. Is that really necessary? Rivas is on third base now. Fluharty is going to be facing J.P. Crawford in just a moment. First pitch to Crawford, up and in, ball 1. But anyway, the reason I said all that, Daryl, is because I've learned over the years that to be awake and be alive itself is not really enough. To be awake, alive, and not in pain, this is the best combo. Fouled off, 1-1. Ryan says, good luck, Blue Jays, trying to win 2 on the road. Well, you never know. Like I said, the Astros-Rangers series, nobody won a home game. Astros lost every home game. Rangers lost every home game. Low. Astros had home field advantage and couldn't make any use of it. 2 balls and 1 strike to Crawford. Here's the toss. Fouled off. 83-mile-per-hour sweeper at the bottom of the zone. It's 2-2. Daryl says, I was watching that movie, The Babe, starring John Goodman, who played Babe Ruth. Good movie. I never actually saw it. I wonder how accurate the movie was, Daryl. Were they really true to the story of Babe Ruth, or did they embellish? I wonder. Low and outside, another sweeper, but that one swept way too far outside. It's a full count. Blue Hardy, don't be foolhardy. Rosarena on deck. Runner on third, one out. Little kid making a sad face out there in the crowd. He still doesn't look as sad as the adult Mariners fans when the Mariners actually tie up a run in the seventh inning. Tie up a game, rather, in the seventh inning. Isn't that funny? This kid's team is losing. He's a Blue Jays fan. His team is losing by 3 runs. He wasn't crying. He just looked kind of disappointed. But then they show a grown man in the stands, seventh inning, when the Mariners tied up, and he's crying. Big difference. Full count to Crawford. There comes the toss from Fluharty. He hits it out into left field. It might be down, and it is, and that'll score a run. It's 7-3. Mariners get another run with that single, that opposite field single, on the 3-2 count. I think that was another. It might have been a sinker, but I thought that might have been a sweeper. It was down. Crawford just kind of went down and poked it out there. Yeah, just poked it out. 7-3. Chances of coming back from this are not too high now. 4 runs is more substantial. The chances of a comeback drastically change from a probability perspective when you're down by 3 versus 4 runs. And they're going to change pitchers, so we're on break. That's where we stand. Runner on first base with 1 out. J.P. Crawford with the single, the RBI single. Blue Jays down by 4. 7 hits for the Mariners, 6 for the Blue Jays. We're on a short break. If you guys have any interesting things to say, please drop them in the live chat. I'll take a look. Ryan says, I was at that game. It was an abysmal experience. Oh, game 7? Yeah. Can you believe that? That was the most unbelievable series I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And I know that the Astros have been swept in a playoff series before. And that was one of those moments where you just take off your hat and you want to eat it. But losing to the Rangers in that fashion, losing every single game at home, and the Astros weren't just doing that during the playoffs. They were doing it all season long. Remember that, like we were talking about yesterday, right? That was the curse of the year for the Astros. The curse of the year, basically, was to not be able to win at home. This year, the Astros' main curse was injuries. That was the main curse, injuries. Also, they had a secondary curse of not being able to score runs. Just inconsistent bats. I really feel like the baseball gods had a coin, an Astros coin, with one side, it says runs, on the other side, no runs. And they just flip it before every game. That was how the Astros season went. Very bipolar. Why are they showing them cut a turkey? Is that a turkey or what is that? Rosarena is at the plate, fouls off the second pitch. I don't even know what the first pitch is because they're not showing it on the screen. They're showing them cut this bird. They don't even have a plate to put it on. So what did they just not plan that? Okay. Can we get back to the game? I'd like to see what's going on in the game there. That's not really a plate. They give him like a piece of styrofoam. Was that for raw meat? Okay. Rosarena. Okay, the count is 1-2, and he fouls that off. Finally, we have some of the game. They're more interested in cutting a bird. Braden Fisher is now on the mound for the Blue Jays. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Arozarena. With 1 out, runner on third. That's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Crawford is on first base. Ryan says they change the batter's eye twice a year, it feels like. Do you remember back when they used to have a mound in center field, Ryan? Do you remember that crap? How ridiculous. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. They call it strike 3 on the outside edge. Rosarena shakes his head. Once again, a couple of Mariners have gone down on those pitches outside the zone. Why are they having a turkey right now? Is this a thing in thing in Canada right now? Is there a holiday or something? Raleigh crushes one out into the upper deck, the upper deck, but it's foul. 0-1 is the count. A walk, an intentional walk. Scored twice. So putting him on base has not worked out for the Blue Jays. 7-3 as it stands right now. 2 outs. High and outside is the pitch. Crawford is on first base. 1 ball, 1 strike to Raleigh. Yeah, Ryan says cutting a bird during a bird mascot home game is crazy work. Yeah, that is pretty funny. They're playing the birds. Let's cook a bird and eat it live on air. Is there some kind of holiday or something? I haven't heard anything about a holiday in Canada right now. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Raleigh. He calls a timeout. They play some music, and then the crowd slowly starts to stand up to get into it a little. Reluctantly. Some of them are still sitting down with their arms crossed. They're not having it. They're like, no, I'm not a lemming. You're not going to get me to stand up and cheer. That's in the dirt. Check swing. He didn't go. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ryan says, bring back the hill and the flagpole. Oh, my God, no. My God, no. Some of those baseball fields that we played at as a kid, they had like telephone poles right in the middle of the field, you know. Talk about old school. Swing and a miss. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Pitch to him. Strikes out Raleigh. And that's going to do it. That's out number 3. He says, happy Thanksgiving no matter where you are. It is Thanksgiving? Why am I just now hearing about this? I haven't heard anything this whole game. We're going into the bottom of the 6th. And I haven't heard anything about it being Thanksgiving in Canada. Wow. They just now start talking about it in the 6th inning. I didn't see any holiday stuff on screen. You know, if it were Thanksgiving in America and they had this game going on, they would have had a bunch of holiday-themed stuff on the screen, right? I guess MLB is too Americanized for them to care too much about showing the Canadian Thanksgiving stuff. Maybe they think that it would show favoritism or something. Who knows? Who knows? Happy Today says, preach it. I work in guest services, so I'm there pretty much all the time for the home games. And those games were painful to attend. The fans aren't happy and get crabby with us as a special bonus. That's got to be awesome. Well, you know, Happy, I have to deal with the same stuff on this channel. You know, and I've had to deal with it all season long. I can understand disappointment and fans not being happy with the way the Astros are performing and losing games that they should have won, getting swept by teams that are not good, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can understand that. But the amount of nonsense that I've had to deal with throughout the year on my channel, because of people wearing their emotions on their sleeves is pretty ridiculous. I would say that it could be easy for somebody to become jaded against people, just dealing with the lack of control, the emotional control that a lot of people, most people, honestly, most people don't have a very good emotional control of themselves. They allow their emotions to control how they feel and how they respond. That's just most people. And some people try to give me the BS that, well, sometimes you just can't control your emotions. BS, total BS. You can always control your emotions. It doesn't matter how extreme the situation is. Because the truth is, the absolute truth is, no matter what the situation is, you always have a choice. Even if you feel, even if you feel a lot of strong emotions, you get to make the final choice on how you express those. So you can always control your emotions. But over little things like a baseball game, going crazy and doing and saying a lot of crazy things just because of a baseball game, treating other people poorly because you don't like the way men are playing a child's game, that's just stupid to me. First pitch to Alejandro Kirk is in there for strike one. The second one is a little above the zone, but called strike two. It's 0-2. Carlos Vargas is in the game for the Mariners right now. Almost a quarter after 8 in the morning here. Here comes the pitch from Vargas, the 0-2. Captain Kirk fouls that off 100 miles an hour. Count stays 0-2. Chase says the Mariners lead by 4. Are the Bluebirds cooked, or can they come back and send the Mariners sailing? That turkey might have been a foreshadowing of things to come. Cooked turkey. Their turkey is cooked. That one misses the zone for ball one. 1-2 to Kirk. Nobody out, nobody on here in the bottom of the 6th. Here comes the 1-2 pitch from Vargas. Fouls it off again. Captain Kirk stays alive for another pitch. Varsho on deck. Clement in the hole. Jorge Polanco always looks very awake. His eyes are quite large. Check swing. They say he did not go. 2-2's the count. Happy says agreed. People are weirdly on edge about pretty much everything these days. Emotional control is definitely missing. Yeah, I mean, politics has really made that worse too. All of the divisions, that's fouled off 98 miles an hour. I understand that there are some very crazy ideologies. You've got, over the past several years, there have been too many people that are like really, really far left. But now you're starting to see some more far right actions going on. But, one extreme brings another. That's a ground out to Polanco, and Kirk goes down, out number 1. These kids are having pizza right out of a box. They look like they're having a good time. They don't care about the game. They're drinking soda and eating. Oh, they just showed one kid that had a really sad face. He's watching the game. He's not having pizza and soda. He's not happy. But the kids having soda and pizza, they don't care about the game. They're happy. 96 above the zone. So one parent knows how to handle it. The other one doesn't. Kids are sad. Buy them pizza and a soda. Whoa, inside. He almost got him. 2-0 to our show. 2-0 to our show. Clement on deck. Happy says, I just smile and roll on. What else can you do? I try to remind myself that you never know what other people are going through at that time. But, when it starts to become like a regular thing with a lot of people, you start to wonder what's going on in the world. It's not about the person necessarily. It's about the world 2 balls and 1 strike. Jay says Polanco probably on their Seattle coffee. Swing and a miss. Foul tip into the glove of Raleigh, and that's strike 2. The count's even. You guys are keeping me entertained with your comments in the live chat. Keep it up, please. The game is not so entertaining right now, but your comments are pretty funny. Keep cracking the jokes, please. Here's the toss. 2-2. He fouls it straight up and away and into the crowd. That was a 99-mile-per-hour steamer. Game 3, Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Game 4, Thursday, 8 o'clock. Game 5, Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Game 6 will be played on Sunday. There will be a break on Saturday, looks like. Here's the toss. That's high. Full count. Blanco is on that Seattle coffee. But the question is, Jay, is it Seattle's best or is it Starbucks? Here's the toss. It's probably Seattle's best because that's the way he's been Seattle's best, I think. So he probably is drinking Seattle's best coffee. Only Seattle's best for Jorge Blanco. Wow, they've got some really interesting looking. They're showing some of the Seattle fans. 99 miles an hour hit out to right field, pretty deep all the way to the wall, but taken in by Robles and gave it a ride, but not quite far enough. Varsho goes down. It's going to take a little bit more power than that, my friends. Put a little bit more beef on that ball. A little bit more beef. You need a beefier hit. Beefy hit. 1 down. I'm sorry, 2 down. My bad. What am I thinking about here? Swing and a miss by Clement. Strike 1. 1 hit today. He bounces out and foul down the third baseline, and that's strike 2. 35 people hanging out. I'm still short of 1330 subscribers. If you guys and gals are interested in the remaining ALCS games and in the World Series via my channel, I invite you to subscribe. If you subscribe, I promise I will do my very best to please you with the live stream. Ball 1. Vargas up to 20 pitches with this next toss. There it is. Hit out into left field, left center. Should be taken no problem. And it is. J-Rod grabs it. He grabs it and he tosses it to Rosarena, who misses it. That's out number 3. Nothing doing. So the Blue Jays, it's interesting because yesterday they scored in the first inning right off the bat and then were completely shut down after that. Today, they answer the Mariners right away with 2 runs in the first and 1 run in the second. And then after that, they've been completely shut down for 4 straight innings. The Mariners woke up and scored 4 more. So the question is, now that 6 innings of baseball are gone and we only have 3 innings remaining, which team is going to take full control? The Mariners are clearly in the driver's seat right now. But anything can happen. Jay wants to defend Varsho. Okay. Outfield is not as easy as it looks. I played outfield my whole life, and let me tell you, it's not easy. Well, every position has its challenges. But Varsho... But seriously, though, but like what you said earlier, I do think that Varsho has made it a little harder on himself on a couple of those plays. But, I mean, you're right. You can't always see the ball easily. You can't always know immediately where it's going. Sometimes it looks like it's going over your head or it's going to be short. and you misjudge it. These things are just part of baseball. But I don't think that the difficulty in center field is too different than the difficulty in left or right. I think that right field is the easiest position to play on the entire field. There's a reason why in school we always put the weakest player out in right field. You don't typically have a lot of left-handed batters. Most of the action is going to be to the middle or left of the field, usually. Obviously, the center fielder has a lot more space to cover. But most of the time, center field, I'd say most plays that are made in center field are not difficult. Only some plays are difficult, but not all. But I started off playing outfield when I was very young, but they quickly realized I didn't belong in the outfield. They moved me to actually my very first team. I was a third baseman, but whenever we left Houston, I went to Louisiana. They didn't know me there, so they started me off in outfield, but they quickly realized I was an infielder, and I was able to go back over to third. But then they had me play shortstop. But then they realized I was even better at second, so that's where I wound up, and I played second base for the rest of my life, all the way through middle school, high school, and I had the joy of going back to third base in Tokyo when I played with my friend there several years ago before I got sick. That was fun. That was like very, very nostalgic for me going back to third base. Made some good plays over there. It was fun. It had been so long. I kid you not. It had been over 30 years since I'd played third base. It was nice. One ball and two strikes to Rodriguez. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Fouls it off. Count stays 1-2. Angel, welcome in. Angel says Mariners playing like they want to win the series. Yeah, they are. We might have a Mariners Brewers World Series if they're playing like this and the Brewers have the same determination. Woo, 85-mile-per-hour curveball. Got him looking. Braden Fisher picks up a strikeout against Rodriguez, and that's one down here in the top of the seventh. Jorge Polanco coming up next. Ryan says I'm a lefty, so I was basically limited outfield, but I was bullpen catcher sometimes. It was fun. In high school, I had to catch for one pitcher. Speaking of lefty, Polanco has another hit out into right field. So he's on first base with a single. Polanco just owning the playoffs. The only difference is right now there's nobody on. High leverage situations, he's been stone cold. Runner on first with one out. Josh Naylor at the plate. That's outside for ball one. But we had a pitcher that could pitch like 4 or 5 innings maybe. And I was the only one who could catch the fastball, so I had to catch for him. I hated it. I didn't want to catch. Wearing the gear and catching with the mitt and stuff was fun, but I just didn't like the squatting. It was not comfortable for my knees. Another ball to Naylor. It's 2-0. So I was very, very, very much wanting to get back to second base as quickly as possible. If my pitcher had a quick outing, I was very happy about that. That meant that I could go back to second base a little quicker. That's strike one, 2-1. 2-1 pitch from Fisher on the way. 82 right in there. The count's 2-2. I don't have any Thanksgiving turkey to celebrate Canada's Thanksgiving, but thanks to Angel, I have some deviled ham and roast beef. Actually, last night I had a half sandwich with the Underwood roast beef, Angel, if you're listening. And I ate some wheat thins with it. This morning I'm munching on a Pop-Tart, actually, with my coffee. Here's the toss to Naylor. High and outside. Full count. 8 hits for the Mariners, 6 for the Blue Jays. It's a 7-3 game here in the top of the 7th. Suarez on deck, Naylor at the plate with a full count, and Polanco on first base. This is hit hard to right field. It might be gone. It is. Naylor with a 2-run homer. He just put the Nailers in the coffin. 9-3. And those 2 runs are the Nailers in the coffin. Pretty sure that the Blue Jays are not going to be coming back from this one. They're down by 6 runs. Wow. Angel says bon appetit. Suarez getting some tips from Naylor. He's like, hey, man, how can I not strike out? Put the bat on the ball? I don't know. Put the bat on the ball? Right in the middle of the zone. Dead center in the middle of the zone. If you want to put it somewhere, I think anywhere but there is a good place. This is the guy I wish that the Astros had gotten for first base, is Josh Naylor. A good glove at first base. Left-handed batter. Kind of young, lots of talent. That would have been perfect. But instead we have a mid guy. On his best season, he's mid. Ryan says Naylor's been a fave of mine since 2021. Well, we're on commercial break, guys and gals, because that is it for Braden Fisher. The Mariners have tagged the Blue Jays today for 9 hits and 9 runs. Naylor is Canada's best. Is Naylor... Oh, well, actually, Naylor is not Canada's best because he is betraying his country right now. How dare you? Dare you, Josh Naylor? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, Suarez is at the plate. We got a 1-1 count already while I was up from the monitor. Here's the pitch Too far inside, 96 miles an hour on the fastball. Yariel Rodriguez is on the mound for the Blue Jays. Let's see what he can do. Nobody on base. Naylor cleared him off. 86 just outside. 3-1. You know, even with the disappointed looks on their faces, I don't see anybody crying in the stands like I would in Seattle. Way outside. But that's a walk to Suarez. He's going to go to first base. 5-pitch walk. Yeah, they look really disappointed, but you notice how nobody's crying? But I bet you right now, with this 9-3 lead, there are Mariners fans crying in Seattle. For sure. For sure. For sure. Here comes the toss. At any rate, the crowd is quiet and many of them have left. Strike one to Leo Rivas. Here's a pitch. Too far inside. One ball, one strike to Rivas. Ryan says it's got to rain somehow. Or sometimes. Got to rain sometimes. Yes, it does. Outside, 2-1. It is so quiet. This crowd is dead right now. Mariners are having a good time taking these first two games in Toronto. It's got to feel good. Still got 2.5 innings left to finish. 3 balls and 1 strike. Possibly another walk coming from Rodriguez. Already have 1 runner on first base from a walk. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. Outside? No, he calls it strike 2. Full count, Mr. Rivas. He had a grand slam and went bonkers crazy like a rabid dog, and I was like, hell yeah. What game was that? What game was that, Ryan? In the dirt. Ball 4. 2 walks for Rodriguez. Now 2 runners on with 1 out. So the Blue Jays bring in a relief pitcher, and he doesn't bring the relief. The commentators are talking about the first inning of this game because the very first batter had a strike 3, and everybody thought it was strike 3. Even the batter started to walk off walk away from the batter's box because even he knew it was strike 3, but the umpire didn't call it. And then it turns into 3-0 shortly after that. So they're talking about how quickly a game can change just over these missed calls like that. Just one little missed call like that, and it can completely change the tone of a game. Strike 1 to Robles. That's in the dirt. 1-1 is the count. Regular season game? Gotcha. Okay, not a big game, just a regular season game. Bassett is warming up in the bullpen. Here's the next pitch from Rodriguez. Another one low and in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike. Rodriguez having a hard time throwing it in the zone right now. But why does it matter at this point? You're down by 6 runs. Maybe, just maybe, the Blue Jays are demoralized at the moment. Here comes a 2-1 pitch. Below the zone, 88 miles an hour on the slider. That was not a bad pitch, but Rodriguez Doesn't get it. Robles doesn't chase. 3 balls and 1 strike. Yet another possible walk coming up right here. Probably will be. It is. Ball 4, low and outside. Rodriguez is just not showing any control. Now the crowd is booing. So the crowd finally starts making some noise, but it is not to cheer. It is to boo the pitcher. He's walked 3 straight batters since coming in. Bases are loaded with 1 out. This is just ridiculous. What can you do? Now, I do believe that the coaches have made a couple of terrible decisions. But whenever you bring in a guy and he walks 3 straight batters, what do you do? J.P. Crawford is at the plate with bases loaded and 1 away. Yariel Rodriguez on the mound. He has thrown 16 pitches, and only 4 of those were in the zone. He's had 2 3-1 counts and 1 3-2 count, and he's walked all 3 batters. And they're going to change pitchers. So we have another break while they change pitchers. What a horrible day for not the Mariners, for the Blue Jays and the Blue Jays fans. Are you talking about J.P. Crawford? J.P. Crawford career grand slams. He's only hit 6 in his career. 6 grand slams total for J.P. Crawford. If he had hit 10 grand slams in 2 seasons, I would have heard about that. That didn't sound quite right to me. Maybe it felt like 10 in 2 seasons. But in his career, he's hit 6. You can see it here on StatMuse, right here. 6 grand slams. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It feels like 10. It feels like 10, especially if they hurt. If they were against a team that you're pulling for, maybe it felt like that. Yeah, that's right, Jay. Mariners stuck the trident, what I call the pitchfork, the Mariners pitchfork, into the cooked turkey, the cooked bird. So them having the turkey today in Toronto on screen was not just a metaphor. It was representative of what the Blue Jays were going to experience today. J.P. Crawford is at the plate with bases loaded and 1 out. He's going to be facing Chris Bassett. 92, sinker right in there, strike 1. Ryan says maybe he always gets a hit now. Bassett with a 3.96 ERA in the season. Here's the toss. Ground ball, foul down the third baseline. It's 0-2. Happy says we should get him on the Astros if he can hit the ball. Dawkins Park does have the Crawford boxes. He could hit to multiple times. We need batting help. I'm not sure about his defense, though. I don't want Crawford. He'd have to hit opposite field to put in the Crawford boxes. I'm not saying that he can't, but Crawford is not a. If we were going to trade for somebody, I wouldn't take Crawford. I mean, he's the 9th batter in the lineup. If he were so great, he would not be in the 9th spot. And his defense is just so. He's not worth it. There are plenty of guys in this lineup I'd take first. I'd take Naylor all day long. Of course, Rodriguez is great, and even Rosarena and Raleigh. I mean, you've got several guys in this lineup, but the Astros could really, really benefit from somebody like Josh Naylor. Swap him out for Christian Walker. That'd be great. Fouled off. Count remains 2-2. Yeah, Daikin Park. Yeah, I got you. Dawkins Park, Daikin Park. Close enough. Close enough. Yeah, even the Blue Jays in the dugout look deflated. That's outside for ball three, a full count. So Bassett comes in, and even Bassett is having a hard time keeping the ball in the zone. Is he going to walk in a run? Might be double-digit runs for Seattle right here. Here comes the pitch. Fouls it off. We'll have another 3-2. You're right, Ryan. If we had a guy like Josh Naylor, it would be a huge improvement. Huge improvement. You know, first base is a position that is primarily about the batting. You need a good bat at first base, and Christian Walker is just not that. Here's the pitch. Fouls it off on the inside. Could have been ball four. Crawford fouled it off of himself, and he's kneeling down. They might come out and check on him to see if he's all right. I don't know if you guys and gals ever think about this, but you know, certain positions in the game, certain positions on the team are primarily hitting positions. If you can't hit well, then you should not be playing that position. First base is one of those. If the first baseman is decent on defense, but excellent at the plate, that's a good first baseman. That's a good standard first baseman. But if you're good, not great, but good on defense like Walker and very mediocre at batting, then you're not a good first baseman. This is a fly ball to center field. Suarez is tagging. The throw comes in, but it's cut off. And that'll be 10-3. The Mariners get the 10-digit total on their runs and a 7-run lead with the sacrifice fly to center field. 2 outs. Runners on first and second. Randy Rosarena, the top of the batting order, comes up. You know, a lot of people try to argue that, oh, Christian Walker is a gold glove. That's always the first thing that people go to, but I don't care. I don't need a gold glove first baseman. I just need a decent first baseman with a good bat. His defense doesn't have to be gold glove. And the other thing is, Walker is not really a gold glove right now. He's above average, but he's not great. Right in there, 74 miles an hour on the inside. 0-2 is the count to Rosarena. What you need is a guy who hits 275 consistently at first base. That's what you need. Here's a pitch. Swing and a miss. 95. Up high. Rosarena swings and he gets him. For out number 3, finally. Yeah, look how upset. But they're not crying, you know. They're getting upset, but they're not crying. So the Blue Jays fans are giving the disappointed and angry response. Seattle fans give the breakdown and cry response. It's funny the difference in the fans. I haven't seen a single person crying in the stands right now. 10-3 this game. The Mariners have scored 7 runs in 3 innings. From the 5th to the 7th. 3-1-3. Crazy. Bottom of the 7th coming up. Believe it or not, the Blue Jays actually have 3 more opportunities here. You never know. You never know. I can't say it's officially over, but their bird is probably cooked. So what's for Thanksgiving dinner? A big fat Blue Jay, roasted or deep fried. What's your preference? Yeah, Angel, I this is why I'm tired of seeing like did you guys see Angel and the rest of you, did you see the new Sports Map Houston, the Stone Cold Strohs that aired about 6.5 hours ago? They had a new video today, and I looked at some of the comments. I made some comments on that video. I just happened to be awake at that time, so I watched the video and then I went back to sleep and I made some comments. But what I'm getting tired of seeing is people defending mediocrity. I'm really tired of it. I don't have anything against some of these players like Mauricio Dubon. Now, I will say this, the Astros were injured and we had difficulty filling different positions, and Dubon came in kind of handy because he's able to play different positions. But what did he actually add to the Astros? I mean, his glove is above average, right? But his arm is weak. His batting is terrible. So what does he really add to the Astros? He is a handy player to have if you have an injured team because you can move him around and put him wherever you want. But what kind of value does he have on a good team? And I'm being serious. Think about this. Imagine a World Series contender team and imagine the lineup. Where does a player like Mauricio Dubon fit in a lineup like that? Where does Christian Walker fit in a lineup like that? They don't. They just don't. And Jacob Melton, where does he fit on a lineup like that? He doesn't. But people were defending these players in the live chat today, and it just makes me shake my head because they keep defending these players that are defenseless. You can't defend. They're indefensible, rather. They're indefensible. So they need to be performing at a certain level at the plate. That's their primary responsibility. They can always practice and get better on defense as the season goes along. But improving your batting during the season is very difficult. You need to have that stuff locked in before you get out on the field. One down with the ground out. And now Davis Schneider. No, I'm sorry, Jimenez. Schneider was the one who just grounded out. Andre Jimenez is at the plate. 2-0 is the count. So I'm tired of people defending players that are mediocre to bad. They either want them, they're showing flashes, is what they were saying about Melton today. Forget you. Get rid of Melton. Don't be silly. And they were talking about keeping Melton and getting rid of Jake Myers. And they were saying that Myers was not good offensively, and he had a terrible arm. He had a noodle arm. First of all, his arm's not that bad. And why are you talking about keeping Melton, who hasn't done anything? But they're like, well, he's showing flashes. Well, what about Myers' whole freaking season? So you're wanting to let a guy go who's been one of your best producers in the season for a guy who's been terrible but showing flashes? What kind of broken thinking is that? Here's the 2-2 pitch in the dirt. Will count. Vargas has one out and nobody on here in the bottom of the seventh, facing Jimenez at the plate. Full count. Make sure you like that live stream, folks. We still haven't gotten to 1330 subscribers. Trying to get over that 1330 mark. High and outside, that's a walk. Full pitch walk. Full count pitch walk. Full count walk. Take your pick, one of those. Using statistics, mathematical wizardry, they're saying that there's a 38% chance that the Mariners bullpen does not allow another run. But George Springer is at the plate right now. Check swing. He holds. Ball one outside. Runner on first with one away. Springer has a double, a walk, and a run scored. Here comes the next pitch. Nice cut. Fouls it off. 97 right in the zone. It's a 1-1 count. I am all for getting the Astros into some winter league stuff. Springer hits this out to right field. Should be an easy play, and it is. Put away by Robles. Jimenez goes back to first base. 2 away. Getting the Astros into some hitting boot camps. Because we have talented guys, but they've just gotten out of their groove. They need to be disciplined. The Astros hitting coaches obviously don't have control over their players and their hitting system. That's the only way to explain what's going on there. 99 miles an hour in the top of the zone, taken for strike one. Nathan Lucas, 3 for 3 today. He's having a great day, but the rest of the Blue Jays really aren't. 99, upper outer corner, strike two. Out of the 6 hits the Blue Jays have, he's got half of them. Here's the toss. Up and in, ball one. 2-1 is the count. Temperature has dropped drastically from the past couple of days. 2 days ago, it was hot, and then it was warm yesterday, and today's cool. So we're going to miss strike three, and that's the end of the 7th. The Blue Jays go silently into the night like the orchestra of the Titanic, playing gently and softly as the ship goes down, nice and slow in Toronto. And just like the Blue Jays, my Pop-Tart is almost gone. Mm-mm-mm. The Dodgers and the Brewers start in roughly 15 minutes or so. Let's take a look at the old schedule right quick and see what time the next game is. I've got the next few games scheduled. So for those of you interested in being back here for my live streams on those games, make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can get them. If you turn on the bell that notifies you, because just because you subscribe doesn't mean you get the notifications, but if you turn the bell on, it will let you know about 30 minutes before the game and right when the live stream starts. Jay says, send you some coffee money on PayPal. Hey, thank you so much. That's my first donation of the day. So I'm going to say thank you very much. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you so much for that donation, Jay. I really appreciate that. Still on commercial break right here. We'll be back in just a moment. It is much, much appreciated. And donating through PayPal is very beneficial for me. Not only does it become available immediately, but they take out the least amount. I know that a lot of people don't like PayPal, but the honest truth is that donating through YouTube takes 30% of whatever you donate. Did you know that? If you send me $10, I'm only going to get 7. YouTube takes a massive, massive cut. I do have Buy Me a Coffee, but the thing about Buy Me a Coffee is that there's a transfer time, even though they take a very low fee, like PayPal. It takes time for that money to transfer into my account, many days, up to as many as maybe 5 days, 5 business days. but PayPal is instant, and I have a debit card. I can use it immediately. It's very handy. 91 to Raleigh. It's fouled up on the third base side and into the crowd. So I know that PayPal gets a lot of grief, and some of it is deserved for sure. But they take out the smallest fee. You get the money the fastest. It's super easy. Chris Bassett's still on the mound for the Blue Jays. Here comes the next pitch for Raleigh. Fouls it off. 0-2's the count. Lauer is warming up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Kobe says, "Hey, Kobe, good to see you." Kobe, my cuz. They fired their hitting coach and head trainer. Yeah. Some are saying that the Astros are cleaning house. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're cleaning house yet until the dust has settled and we see all of the changes that they have made across the whole organization. Only then will we be able to tell if they're really cleaning house, because I haven't heard of any major decisions yet on players, and there's still a lot of time before spring training. Ball one to Raleigh. No outs. Top of the eighth. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the massive dumper who just blew his nose on live TV. And then he wiped it on his shirt. Very nice. The big sneezer. The big blower. Here comes the next pitch to Raleigh with the nausea-inducing ump cam. That's fouled over to the third base side, taken by Barger for out number 1. Raleigh goes down. J-Rod comes up next with Jorge Polanco on deck. 1 down. Rodriguez had the 3-run homer in the first to start the scoring for the Mariners and set the tone for the game. Here comes the first pitch from Bassett. 93, fouled off. Strike 1. Here comes the toss. Low, ball 1, counts even. Are there any free agent pitchers that you think that the Astros should go for in the offseason? By the way, they were talking about the possibility, and I say they, people, right? Not the team, but that's a swing and a miss for strike 2. 1-2 is the count against J-Rod. Some people were talking about maybe the Astros working out like a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with Fromber for a decent price. But I'm going to say pass on such a deal. But outside of that, any other free agents that you think the Astros could benefit going after in the way of pitchers, starting pitchers? Because we definitely need another ace, really. We need an ace starting pitcher to go with Hunter Brown. At least one more. 2 balls and 2 strikes to J-Rod. Bassett steps off the mound. He wants to have a little talk with Kirk. He makes him run out to the mound. I saw a post on X earlier, and when I saw that, I had to do a double take because it said something about the Astros reacquiring Verlander, but then I saw that it was a parody when it said that they had traded for Fromber. I knew that was not possible, so it was just a parody. Swing and a miss, struck him out. J-Rod goes down. That's out number 2. Jorge Polanco comes to the plate, wired on Seattle coffee. 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer, a single, and 2 runs scored. Might wind up being the MVP of this series. Who knows? 75 miles an hour on the curveball, right in there for strike one. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Another curve. He pops that one up on the infield. Hurt comes out and puts it away for out number 3. So Bassett makes it look incredibly easy in the top of the 8th. The first time they've had a clean inning in a while. No damage done by the top of the batting order this time. But it's of not much use considering how the Blue Jays are down by 7 runs. It's 10-3 going into the bottom of the 8th. 9 hits for the Mariners, 6 for the Blue Jays, 1 error on each side. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is due up next, followed by Addison Barger and Alejandro Kirk. And I'm going to stretch my legs. I'll be right back. Be sure to leave those likes on the live stream, and I appreciate you in advance. Arigato gozaimasu. Yeah, Angel. Josh Naylor is a guy that I would be really, really happy about. I think that even if the Astros have to eat some salary, which they most likely would with Christian Walker, even if they pawn him off to another team and eat some of that salary, it would definitely be worth it to get Josh Naylor. That's my opinion. That'd be a massive upgrade. Can you imagine getting some left-handed thump and great defense? I think Naylor's defense is better than Walker's, and his bat is much better. Being left-handed, that could really, really help the lineup. Guerrero at the plate takes 2 pitches outside the zone. Emerson Hancock is on the mound for the Mariners. 2 balls and no strikes. Guerrero has actually not done anything at all in the ALCS so far. Yesterday and today, he's 0 for 1,000, basically. Here's a pitch. High and outside, ball 4. So he walks here on a 4-pitch effort from Hancock. Yeah, Doug, I feel the same way. I didn't expect them. But, I have said this before, and you probably agree. When the Mariners are hitting, you can't beat them because you got several guys in the lineup who have a lot of power. And they're just hitting right now. At least today they are. I don't know how they got out of yesterday's game. They brought in a pitcher who should have been lit up by the Blue Jays, and they couldn't hit him. Yesterday, you could say that the Blue Jays were hitting like the Astros do. They bring in a pitcher that's not that good, and they can't hit him. They treat him like a Cy Young pitcher. And then, so really, by rights, yesterday, statistically, heavily favored the Blue Jays at home versus a pitcher who had an ERA of almost 6 should have been their game, and they missed that opportunity. And then today, the Mariners were on fire. Their bats were on fire. So the Blue Jays are just they're putting themselves behind the 8 ball. 2 straight pitches out of the zone to Barger. That's another one outside the zone. This is 7 straight balls thrown by Hancock. He walks Guerrero on 4 straight pitches, and now there are 3 balls to Hancock. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. That's finally in there, a 96-mile-per-hour strike. I feel like today is the Mariners' skill at the plate just clicking. That's a fly out to left field. On the 3-1, Barger flies out. Hancock has an out. 1 down, runner on first, and Alejandro Kirk comes to the plate. Brash is warming up in the bullpen for the Mariners. But yesterday's game is no excuse. The Blue Jays should have won. That's the fault of their batting lineup having a terrible game. I don't know what they did. Did they just not study that guy? Did they just assume that they were going to be able to hit him? Springer did right off the bat, but after that, they just shut down. Outside, 1-1. Angel says a lot of old pitchers are in free agency. We should stay away from the older ones. Why can't we go to Japan and sign like for them? Amen to that. That's what the Dodgers are doing. Basically, 50% of the Dodgers roster right now are Japanese players. And I'm telling you, there's no shortage of good players over here. We could actually probably get a really good pitcher and at least one good hitter. I guarantee you that we could get a better first baseman from here than Christian Walker. But even so, we could get an outfielder, somebody who can hit. But there are a lot of good pitchers here. We could definitely get one. Here's a pitch. 2-2, fouled off. Count remains the same. 1 away here in the bottom of the 8th. It was looking kind of hopeful for a second there with an almost second walk. But Barger flew out, and now we have a runner on first with a 2-2 count to Kirk. Here comes a pitch. 96 up and in, full count. You know, it's interesting also, Angel, you mentioned going to Japan to get players. That's actually one of the recommendations that the AI, the deep research on the AI said that the Astros needed to do more international searching. They've been really poor at that. They have like a couple of main channels that they use over and over, but obviously right now they don't have anybody in that pipeline that they can grab. So they need to think about going a little further out. Japan would be an excellent place for them to look, or even Taiwan and Korea, but primarily Japan. Up and in, ball 4. Another walk from Hancock. If Barger had held on to get another walk, that'd be 3. So runners on first and second with 1 out. Dalton Varsho is going to come to the plate to face Hancock. I really do hope that the Angels, that the Astros do steer clear of those older pitchers, Angel. I'm with you on that. I don't want them to be bringing in any more veteran pitchers. Let's sign a 2-year deal for 30 million or 25 million with a guy who's 36 years old. No, let's go ahead and pass on that. Here's a pitch. Grounded foul down the first base line. Strike one of our show. Doug says they came off a 15-inning game and then a long plane flight yesterday. This is why I don't bet on sports. I was kind of surprised. Yesterday, I did a poll in my live chat to ask everybody, how many games do you think they should play in a year? That's hit pretty high into right field. It should be playable by Robles, and it is. 2 outs. Guerrero tags and goes to third. Runners on the corners. Ernie Clement comes to the plate with runners on the corners. One guy in scoring position. Let's see if the Blue Jays are going to get anything out of this in the bottom of the eighth. But I was kind of surprised. If I remember correctly, about 44% of people voted and said that the amount of games they play right now is fine. I completely disagree. I couldn't disagree more. They play way too many games in MLB. They need to, number one, stop playing so many games, and number two, stop playing afternoon games during the week. It's just stupid. Nobody does that. Nobody plays games during the week on weekdays except for baseball. On the weekends, I can understand it. This is sit out to center field. Rodriguez floats back. Makes it look easy. Varsho, are you taking notes? That's out number 3. Due up next is Josh Naylor, who had himself a nice little hit earlier. A nice little ping over the fence for 3 runs. We are done with 8 innings of ball, y'all. It's the top of the 9th in just a moment after commercial break. 9 innings coming up. 9 hits for the Mariners, but 10 runs on the board. Just 6 hits this entire game. The Blue Jays answered the Mariners in the first and second inning, but from then until now, it's been goose eggs. So apparently, Blue Jays lay goose eggs. Who would have thunk it? I never knew that. Did you guys know that Blue Jay birds lay goose eggs? The 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. 6 innings in a row. Absolutely nothing. Nothing doing. Yeah, that's right, Doug. Wrigley Field has lights, so there's no excuse. And that's actually another thing. It costs teams money and costs the the MLB money for teams to have these afternoon games during the week. And did you notice? I don't know if you saw this or not, but during the Cleveland Guardians playoff series, the afternoon games that they had a lot of empty seats. Why is that? Well, because the games were on a weekend or a weekday in the afternoon. A lot of people couldn't go. How stupid is that? Your team is in the wild card in the playoffs. The stadium could easily be packed. Easily be packed. If you just put it later in the day. It doesn't have to be very late, but it should be at a certain point where people could get to the game in a reasonable amount of time after work and school. But in order for most people to go to those games, not only would they have to leave work early, they'd also have to either arrange for their kids to get taken care of or picked up, or they'd have to get them out of school and take them to the game. And of course, if you got kids of at least a few years old, you're probably going to want to take them to the game, right? I would. I can't imagine going to a baseball game locally without my daughter, or if I had a son. Can't imagine going by myself. I'm going to take off early and have somebody pick up my kid, and they can watch my kid while I'm at a baseball game. It doesn't make any sense. But when you make it to where people have to take off from work and take their kids out of school to go to a playoff game, how stupid is that? It's just stupid. Eric Lauer is on the mound for the Blue Jays. 0-1 count to Miles Mastrobuoni. Mastrobuoni is batting for Josh Naylor, so Josh Naylor is not in the game anymore. They decide to give him a rest, and the count is 0-2. But I actually think that they should trim the MLB games down to as low as 100. That's my feeling. They play way too many games. That's another reason why there are a lot of injuries. They play too much. When they play 25 games in a month, come on, you can't tell me that makes sense. That makes no sense. 92 miles an hour, right in there, strike three. Eric Lauer rings up Mastrobuoni, and that's one down. Suarez is due up next. But if you really think about it, I feel like the way they decide how many games they play and how often they play is based on the pitchers, not the players. It's like, well, pitchers get, if you got a 5-man rotation or a 6-man rotation, they'll pitch like once a week on average. So, playing 25 games is okay. It only pitched like 4 or maybe 5 times. Yeah, but everybody else is going to be playing almost every single day, and they're constantly traveling, and they're almost never home. It's too ridiculous, I think. I think the schedule is stupid. But there is a lady, I can't remember her name. She just came out with a book, and I think it's called Fixing the MLB or something like that. She's talking about all the proposed changes that she would make if she were to become the commissioner in the MLB. Here's a 2-0 pitch to Suarez, fouled off, 2-1. But actually, I saw an interview with her, and that's one of the things that she said that she would change. She said afternoon games on the weekdays are just stupid. And she talked about the changes that she would make to get more families into the stadiums and to pack the stadiums. Lots of good ideas. Lots of really good ideas that she had. I don't know all of her ideas, but I think I might be getting her book because I'm very interested in reading all of her ideas. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Suarez. 1 out, nobody on. Top of the 9th. Here's the pitch from Lauer. That's hit right up the middle. Suarez has got himself the first hit of the day. That line drive. Right through the hole. What is he hugging the first base umpire or first base coach for? 1 on with 1 out. Leo Rivas is at the plate. Canzone was in. Garver came in to pinch hit. Then Rivas came in to pinch run, and he stayed in the game. Strike 1. His last appearance at the plate, he walked. He walked to the plate, and then he walked to first base. Eric Lauer, 10th pitch on the way. There's the toss. Check swing in the dirt. Did he go? Yes, he did. That's strike 1. I'm sorry, strike 2. 0-2 is the count. I think we never got over about 40, maybe maximum of 45 viewers today. Another modest day for the channel, but I do appreciate you hardcore supporters being here. No matter whether it's Astros or not, I have a hardcore supporters here that are here almost no matter what. I do appreciate it. Some of you are here for the Astros games, the playoff games, the Texans games. I'm sure you'll be here for the Rockets games. You hardcore supporters are awesome. Fly ball to right field puts Rivas away. 2 outs, runner on first. Here comes the pitch to Robles. Ball one outside. Let's see how many likes we have. I haven't loaded it up in a while. I highly doubt we're going to get to 50 today, but it'd be nice if we were close. 40, not too far away. 10 away from getting 50 likes on the live stream. If you haven't liked the live stream and you have an opportunity to do so, I would appreciate you doing that right now. 2 balls and no strikes to Robles. He's 0 for 3 today. Here's the pitch. Ooh, that to the backstop. Suarez will jog to second base. That should be a passed ball. Is somebody in for Kirk? Yeah, Heineman is in for Kirk. That I was about to say that doesn't look like Kirk behind the plate. I wonder why they pulled him out. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. Runner on second. Little high. Woo! Called it a strike. 3-1. Could have been a walk. Hey, I hit 1330 subscribers. Thank you so much. Got to today's little goal on the subscriber count. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Here's the toss, 3-1. Wow. Big curveball inside by about 3 inches. I think Robles had the funny look on his face, and he kind of looked out of the corner of his eye at the umpire, but he didn't say anything. That was hilarious looking. And we got the rally glasses on. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss on a half swing. Robles goes down. That could have been ball 4. He did him wrong. The umpire did him wrong there. He called 2 strikes that were not in the zone, and then he got the half swing out of the zone. So he strikes out, and that's the end of the top of the 9th. No more runs for the Mariners unless for some reason the Blue Jays are able to score 7 and tie it up and send it into extras and give the Mariners another opportunity to come to the plate. But we will see. We will see. Last chance for the Blue Jays to take one of these first 2 games at home. You know, they're very lucky that this is not a 5-game series. If this were a 5-game series, this would be an absolutely terrible result, right? Hey, Daryl. I guess you're just now seeing the score. Pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Barring any pinch hitting changes, Davis Schneider should be due up next, followed by Andre Jimenez and then George Springer. Can the Blue Jays save a little face? Just a little? By showing some life in the 9th inning? I know that they have a lot of runs to overcome, but if they could manage to score like 3, at least that would be something. You know, if you score 6 runs in a game and you lose, you can't blame it on your hitters. But so far this game, the problem with the Blue Jays has been twofold. Of course, your primary problem is the pitching. Obviously, that's the primary problem. But hitting has also not been good. You can't rely on 3 runs to win a game. But if they had 4 or 5 or 6 runs, you could say, well, you know, the hitters gave them a chance, but the pitchers let them down. You know what I'm saying? We are back at the Rogers Center. Davis Schneider is At the plate, Emerson Hancock is still on the mound. Mastrobuoni stays in the game at first base. Here's the toss. He grounds it off his foot, fouls it off. Strike one. Doug wants to know if the Blue Jays left their starter in too long today. No, actually, I think they should have left him in. When they pulled him out, it fell apart. It was a bad decision. After they pulled him out, the reliever wound up letting another man on base and then giving up a homer, a 3-run homer. So, actually, at that time, if you go back on my live feed, my live stream rather, and you look at that inning, what you'll see is I didn't like that decision. I was like, I don't think this is a good decision right now, because they had the guy on first base, and there was a controversial call. They moved him to second base. That's in the dirt. 3 balls and 1 strike to Schneider. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, they challenged a call. It was a boneheaded move by the coaches. They challenged a call that put the runner on, it was a Rosarena, that put a Rosarena on second base. Full count. And Raleigh was the next batter. And they decided to go ahead and intentionally walk Raleigh. And that brought up J-Rod, and he hit a home run. But when they intentionally walked him, they pulled in a new pitcher. They took their starter out. And guess what? After that, 3-run homer. After that, it was the Mariners were off to the races. They scored 3, 1, and 3 in the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th. So it wasn't the starter. The starter settled in after the first inning. He gave up 3, and after that, he was okay. But after he got 1 runner on, they just kind of took the ball out of his hands. They jumped the gun too early, in my opinion. It was the opposite. Here comes a 1-0 pitch. Inside. No outs, runner on first. 2-0 is the count to Andre Jimenez. Munoz is now warming up in the bullpen for the Mariners. Here comes the toss. We got about 42 viewers right now. Once again, a modest sum, but very close to the maximum number of viewers we've had today. Still substantially lower than what we have for the home team games. You know what I'm saying? 94 in there, fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. George Springer on deck. Let's see how many guys are on base when he comes to the plate. Is he going to have an opportunity to thump, to get a little thump and add a few ribbies for the Blue Jays? Here's the 2-2 pitch from Hancock. Fouls it off. Count remains 2-2. Here comes the toss. Fouled off. Here comes the pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out on the changeup. Jimenez had an opportunity, and he went down swinging. Runner remains on first, and George Springer comes to the plate with 1 out. Yeah, Doug, if you actually look, you'll see that Yasavage has 5 earned runs, but he was not on the field for a couple of those. The 3-run homer was hit. He wasn't on the field, and he was credited with 2 of those runs, but I don't think that was right. Here's the toss. Too far inside. 2 straight balls to Springer. There comes the 2-0 pitch. That's in there, and it's grounded to Suarez. Might be a double play, and it is. That's it. Double play for Hancock. The Mariners win the first 2 games. They squeak by in game number 1, and then they destroy the Blue Jays in game 2. They cook them on Thanksgiving Day. They cook up some Blue Jays. Roast Blue Jays. And that's going to be it. The crowd is not very happy right now. They're going to have to move it along for game number 3. 10 hits and 10 runs for the Mariners with 1 error. 6 hits and 3 runs for the Blue Jays with 1 error. That's it. Wow, what a game. Well, we got up to about 50 viewers right at the very end. And that's it for this game. As you can see, the score on the screen, the Mariners just completely owned the Blue Jays. They started off early. The Blue Jays responded, and everything was going okay until the 5th inning. The 5th inning started to behave a little weirdly, and the coaches were very quick to pull the trigger, unfortunately, and pull their starter out. I think it was a bad decision. And then the second bad decision, they wasted a challenge. And then the next bad decision was to intentionally walk Cal Raleigh. And so the pitching change, the challenge, the wasted challenge, the intentional walk to Cal Raleigh, all of those were mistakes by the coaches. And it cost them 3 more runs. So they were tied, and just like that, with these bad decisions, they were down by 3 again. And from there, over the next couple of innings, the Blue Jays relievers just could not keep the ball away from the Mariners. They tacked on 4 more runs in 2 innings, and then by then the game was just out of reach. It was tied, and then within 3 innings, they were down by 7. It happened just like that. It was so fast. I think that this game was largely lost by the coaches making bad decisions. Jesse says, doesn't look like the BJ is going to get very far playing like this. Sims need 2 more. Yeah, 2 more, and they go to the World Series. That's true. Hey, Jesse, it is good to see you. Better late than never. He says, thanks for watching on the screen. That's the end of the live stream there, the game live stream. Doug says Seattle Stadium is going to be rocking Wednesday night. Yep, we're going to be in Seattle. So let's take a quick look at the schedule. So today is the 14th for me. If we click on the 15th, you'll see that there's no game for me on the 15th. And the 15th for everyone in the U.S. is the 16th for me. So this game on the 16th, this is game number 3. So I will see you all for that game. We'll have a day off tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing the Brewers-Dodgers game. I haven't been doing the NL games right now. I've got a friend in from Australia. So it's better for me to just focus on doing some stuff with him and doing the AL games. And of course, we've got the next Rockets game coming up, maybe on in just a few days, right? Yeah, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 days from now, I think. If I'm able to do that game, I will do it, but I will let you know. I will keep you posted because I'm still trying to finish my scoreboard and my overlay for my software to get that game or to get that set up and ready to go. I think you're really going to like my my layout for the Rockets games, but getting it working is going to be the key. It's really cool. It's a really cool scoreboard and layout, and it's a little interactive. It's going to show some animations and stuff, and it should have some really awesome live information. So I hope you're all looking forward to that. And then, of course, Monday Night Football next Monday. The Texans are going to be playing the Seahawks. So maybe the Texans, it should be a really good game. But maybe the Texans will be able to have a very impressive win. That's going to be the first really impressive win of the year, I think. They had a good solid win, of course, over the Ravens, but even though people say, well, they didn't have Lamar, well, the thing is, look at the way the Texans played on offense. They still mowed them down. And with the good defense that the Texans have, I don't think that the Ravens would have benefited by having Lamar. I think the Texans still would have won that game. But anyway, we've got a day off tomorrow. The teams are going to travel to Seattle or Seattle. Sean Bieber is scheduled to pitch against George Kirby, and that game starts at 9 o'clock Japan time, maybe about 7 p.m. in the evening Central Time. We'll see. But until then, thank you for being here. Thank you for the coffee donation. Thank you for your support, likes, the subs, and I will see you all in a couple of days. For now, that's all. Arigato gozaimasu, and see you again soon.